Well, hello there. I'm Kathy, and welcome to kathysright.com. Please remember to subscribe today on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Spotify, Patreon, and more. Today's guest, Lago Vista, Texas Mayor Ed Tidwell. I'm always right. Well, hello. I have the privilege of having the mayor of my fair city, Lago Vista, and he is Mayor Ed Tidwell. Welcome, Ed. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning, Kathy. How are you
Good.
doing?
I'm doing great. Well, anybody who knows me, I'm never like perfect. I'm always like on the way to doing something, never settled. So I love you and your wife. You guys are really been great for Lago Vista. I'm very glad I voted for you.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, we love it here. I've been here 25 years, so this is my home.
Yeah. Well, I came back here. It was my retreat I grew up in Houston and I went to UT, and then I lived in California for 26 years. And when we got the hell out of there, and then we left skid marks in our driveway to get back to Texas. And one of the reasons we picked Lago Vista was because I had one of the best times of my life visiting Lago Vista when I was at UT.
Oh.
I learned how to water ski out here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
It was a long time ago. I can't water ski anymore. I wouldn't even try, but I was young.
That's a sport you rarely see anymore.
Oh, I know. It took me a long time, all night to learn. I couldn't believe. My friends were on this boat and they were my skis kept going like this, and I was falling and I kept trying and trying. So I finally stayed up, and then I couldn't get enough of it. I was just water skiing. And it was fun. It was one of the best times of my life visiting Lago Vista.
I tried to slalom about 3 or 4 years ago, and I hadn't done it in probably 10 or 15 years, and I couldn't get up on a slalom anymore. I had to go to 2, but I did manage to get up on 2. So I'll ski every now and then, but that's all I know how to do. I don't know how to do the boogie board or the wakeboard or whatever I just know how to ski.
Boards.
Yeah.
Yeah, water skiing. I wonder, I don't see a lot of that anymore. I would think, though, that slalom being the single ski, I would think that would be a little bit easier, because then you don't have to coordinate the parallel skis,
Yeah, it's just, it's harder to get up because of your drag. You actually drag more water. Mm-hmm. But once you get up, it's like riding a skateboard once you get up. But yeah.
Oh, wow. See, now skateboarding, I don't know how to do, but yeah, my daughter skateboarded, and she's getting too old to skateboard, but she's still doing it. So, what's going on? What's it like to be a mayor in Texas during this whole problem we're having countrywide?
Well, Texas. I think Texas has been pretty good. We have our ups and downs, but I think that's going to be commonplace for quite some time, depending on the season. And, flu season may affect it. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to be battling the ups and downs with hospitalizations and numbers of illnesses for quite some time. But otherwise, I think Texas has done pretty good. I think we've gotten a good balance on how much we can open up and keep everybody safe, keep the social distancing and stuff. So I think Texas as a whole is doing pretty good.
I think so too.
Lago's doing even better.
Good.
And we have a great advantage out here because even though we're in Travis County, we have the river, or Lake Travis, that separates us from 99% of the county.
Yep.
So we're isolated.
Yeah.
And I just checked our numbers today. They're reporting 95 total cases from the very beginning in our zip code, 78645 zip code.
Wow.
So I don't know specific numbers for Lago because the zip code covers the incorporated part of the county and some of the Leander area, Jonestown, Point Venture, and Lago.
Mm-hmm.
So the zip code covers a wide area. And so the whole zip code is 95.
Mm-hmm.
And of those 95, I don't know of any hospitalizations. I do not know of a single fatality related to the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we have had some illnesses with it, I don't think we've even suffered severe.
That's awesome.
So I can't say 100% because the county doesn't provide me with that kind of breakdown. But
right.
As far as I know, that's where we stand right now. So we're doing pretty good.
I think Texas is doing better than most. I do. I think because we have a lot of more common sense. But there's my doctor's in Cedar Park, and he has a sign out in front of his office that says COVID testing. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so I went there, for my appointment, and I'm like, I asked the nurse, I'm like, really, have you seen like a lot of people, with the COVID? And she goes, well, we've had a few people that tested, but she goes, and I said, what did you do? She goes, well, we treated them and we sent them home and we monitored them and they're all fine.
Yeah.
100% of their cases from his office. I think he's doing the hydroxychloroquine thing because a lot of the doctors are using that as a prophylactic to prevent themselves from getting it while they're treating people. And it seems to be working for them. However, nationally, they won't even talk about the fact that they're doing that. And he's drumming up business by having that sign out there. And wow. People, if they tested positive, he treats them.
Yeah, I get tested about every 6 weeks to 2 months because I don't know if you're aware of this, but mm-hmm. My paid job mm-hmm. is with the fire department. So
yeah, I do know that.
So I encounter a lot of people on a daily basis, and I have to be real careful about protecting myself, and and vice versa when I'm out. Mm-hmm. You will see me always wearing a mask and stuff, mm-hmm. to protect other people, because I never know from day to day whether I've been exposed. Knock on wood. I've come back double negative all the time.
It's never going to go away. It's never going to be completely gone. Just like the flu, we got a flu shot. It's never going to be completely gone.
Right.
We just have to have better ways of treating it and making sure people survive it. I almost died from the flu before. I had pneumonia.
Gosh.
I had the flu it was over 20 years ago, but I had the flu and I didn't take care of myself at all. I took care of my kids because we all had the flu. I thought if I could get them healthy enough to go back to school, then I could take care of myself. But by the time I got them healthy enough to go back to school, I was coughing up blood.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor called an ambulance to his office to take me to the hospital. That's how bad.
Well, we're glad you got over that.
So. Me too. 6 weeks in the hospital with tubes, but it was I had my last rites and everything. But the thing is, I waited too long to take care of it, and I think that hopefully nowadays, when people get sick, I mean, I'm a Texan, so I felt like I'm toughing things out, and I'm not going to be a silly Texan, not ever again. And I mean, if I get sick, I'm going to go straight to the doctor. You take care of this right now because I'm not going to go chance it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I've traveled a lot with the Marines mm-hmm. and of course with the fire department. I think since I've 19 years old, mm-hmm. I think I've been inoculated for every known disease that they make inoculations for.
Did they give you the malaria treatment?
Oh, yes. The anthrax shots, mm-hmm. You name it. I've pretty much been inoculated for it. So I'm either well preserved.
COVID now. I mean, some of the medicines that they used for the malaria and stuff over in Africa, mm-hmm. they're finding that most of the people who've had those treatments aren't catching the COVID.
Huh.
It's been very interesting.
I'm hoping all those shots will help me in the long run.
hoping so too. But yeah, I love living. I love being back in Texas. That's for me. It's like a gift. It's been awesome. When I talk to my friends who are still in California, you know, there's very few of them are still in California for one thing. But the ones that are there, they're dreading it. I mean, I have a friend who has a horse ranch there, and she's a beautiful piece of property, you know, and she takes care of a whole bunch of people's horses, and she's doing
nice.
well, but she cannot stand what's going on with the government there. And, you know,
Texas is really good.
Yeah, Texas is awesome.
I've been
I
here.
feel sorry for them when I talk to people. You know, I have friends in Colorado too, and they're not happy with what's going on there. I didn't know it was.
Oh, really?
I thought Colorado was conservative. Now that they've,
you know, it's hard to say now that they've legalized the marijuana. I think things have changed.
Yeah, once you get high, you kind of stop being conservative, I guess.
I guess, you know, and I don't know if that's what's causing. I haven't really followed Colorado, but you'll read things every now and then about how it's changed. So, yeah, I really don't know about Colorado. But.
Well, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning about Colorado. I'm learning about New Mexico. I did this show with a lady who has a podcast there in New Mexico, and their governor is just a nightmare. She's like a control freak, you know. She wasn't. Wow. It's just, and she started my friend. She started a movement called New Mexit because they've been traditionally blue, and she wants to turn New Mexico red. And she's a powerful voice. There's a guy out there. His name is Stephen Garrett. And he's been standing outside of the state capitol for I don't know how many days, more than 20. You know, he took a day off for his birthday because he lost his business, and you know, he's about to lose his house and everything because of the shutdowns. And he's protesting basically in a peaceful way.
So he's kind of doing like a sit-in?
Yes. And I just admire him very much because he's sticking up for what he believes in. But he just felt like their governor is draconian. She's totally into, you know, they're fining churches. Churches. I'm like, isn't that unconstitutional?
That's what I would say.
Fining churches? I mean, serious. Our right to worship, really? I'm a constitutional conservative, so.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I met you at the North Shore Republican.
On a candidates night, I think, wasn't it?
That was interesting.
Yeah.
You know what? We saw, how many people did they have there? 7?
That's about right. Yeah, 7.
And it was, I was having a hard time figuring out which one I liked the most, you know?
And it's, gosh, of course, I've sat through so many of those, it's hard to remember which one it was. But.
After a while, it does kind of get to be a blur for me because I remember the Fleck lady. There was, I should turn on my computer so I can figure this out.
Well, you know, we haven't had too many females, so that might have been Suzanne Bland.
Okay.
She was here from 16 to 18.
Okay.
So, yeah, it might have been it was probably, it was either 2016 or 2017, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was interesting. But I wasn't left there with a firm commitment to any specific person. But you know what I remember? Your debate when you guys were debating on the stage here in Lago.
Oh yes, at the Performing Arts Center.
Yes, I was impressed, and I was sitting there thinking, it wasn't about your debate skills that impressed me. It was your sincerity.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know how to debate. I've never taken the class. I've never been one to get on stage and give speeches, and You
Well,
know,
you would, but what stood out to me was your sincerity, and I think in debate, that speaks. I've done lots of debates. I mean, that's what I used to do in high school and college, and I love debate, a good debate, a civilized, organized debate, not like on Facebook or something, because that's crazy. Because when you debate somebody on social media, there's no winner.
well, I only know how to do one thing, and that's, speak from the heart and speak what I know and speak the truth. So I'm glad to hear that the sincerity comes through. So that's good to
It
hear.
did. It did. And also, I came to a meeting with you. Remember at the over at Highland?
One of my town hall meetings.
Yes. And
Yeah.
you were there. You were fully present for people to tell you what they're going through, what's going on, and I appreciated that. I'm like, oh my gosh, how brave! I mean, most politicians won't. And look at Joe Biden; he's not even answering questions from anybody. You know,
Right. And I
you,
miss those. The COVID thing has shut those down.
oh, those are great.
So I've thought about trying to do like one of these Zoom meetings or a virtual one.
Well,
Um,
that would be a good idea. I would love to do that.
yeah, I just don't know how to set it up where I can invite the entire city of Lago Vista to log in and
I
join.
well, they have limits. Some of them, like you can have 100 if you pay extra money, you could have more than 100 people.
Yeah. So I've thought about it. But you lose the personality and the closeness, and so I just haven't done it yet. And I don't know. I'm waiting to see if maybe things will relax and I can go back to actually holding the in-person town hall meeting. So we'll
I
see.
think you might want to think of doing that, doing like a Zoom show or maybe a town hall podcast.
Yeah.
And then people who feel disconnected can feel connected. Even if they can't talk back sometimes, they would feel like they know what's going on, even though there's a lot of people feeling very isolated right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. I definitely see that a lot. Going with the fire department and even around here in Lago. I mean, I don't really go into people's homes here because I don't have a reason to, but with the fire department, I do. And wow, the emotional toll that it has taken, it's something to see. It's really weird. It's a weird environment.
It's substantial. It's something that we should be concerned about. Luckily I have like really great neighbors here, and so I don't feel so isolated, and we stay in contact, not like physical like that, but we help each other out in every way we can, and that has been really helpful. And gosh, I just got so lucky when we decided to move to Lago. I just got I won the lotto when it comes to neighbors and friends and stuff like that. I'm like, gosh, they're talking about race relations on TV. I'm like, are you kidding me? I get treated like a queen in Lago Vista.
Well, good.
I mean, really, I haven't had one single issue. And so I talk about it on one of my programs. I'm like, you know what? They're saying, we have a problem. I go, oh, let's see. I'm not feeling it. I don't know what they're mad about.
I would say for the most part, it's like that. I do every now and then hear instances. The young lady that runs our farmers market here in Lago Vista is a woman of color.
Yeah, I know.
And, she's out there. She even ran for city council at one point. And so she puts herself out there. And I think at times she may have experienced, some things, but even she will tell you that it's a very nice place to live and very nice. And we don't see much, but every now and then.
Every now and then, what though, Ed, I'm just going to be honest with you. I mean, because I always mark my show as explicit because I drop a couple of BS bombs every once in a while. But, but yeah, I find that there's going to be assholes no matter what you do and where you go. And sometimes they will use the excuse of race to be that.
Yeah.
And they would have been an a-hole whether I was black or white. They're just going to be those people in the world. You're not going to eradicate that. You know, you're not going to cure in society of bad people. You know, that's never going to happen. That's why I don't adhere to this Black Lives Matter thing. I will not. It's a Marxist group. They're terrorists, in my opinion. But I will not do that because they don't make any sense, for one thing. But you're never going to just eradicate people from being just mean people.
Right. And I don't know if you were able to attend or if you watched it back in June. Actually, I held it on June 19th. But I held a Community of Unity rally. And the speech that I gave was not about the race issues that were going on at this time, or even about Juneteenth. Even though I did hold it on Juneteenth, my speech was about hatred, and so I covered all aspects of people's personalities and how they interact with each other as far as hatred. And, so I addressed the a-hole portion of it, because you're right. It really, you'll see it regardless of, whether it's race-based or just
racism is like dirt. Racism is just like dirt. If you look for it, you'll find it. if you're like, because I'm a clean freak, and I find dirt, my husband says, this isn't dirty. This room isn't dirty. I'm like, it's filthy. It's really filthy, Gary. And I'm cleaning, and I'm scrubbing the floor, and he thinks I'm just poor Gary. I feel so sorry for my poor husband. I hate crumbs. I hate all that kind of stuff. And one day, my husband, I felt awful because I was being I get in a mood where I'm just like, everything has to be spotless. And I go in and I'm like, what are you doing in the pantry, Gary? He was standing there over the trash can eating a cookie because
We did get crumbs.
Yeah, because I was yelling at him about the crumbs. Because I caught him, well, he made crumbs and I go, you could have wiped the crumbs. And then he took the crumbs and wiped them onto the floor. So now they're on the floor. And so there's still crumbs, you understand?
Right.
But to him, he doesn't see that. But he also appreciates the fact that I keep a clean home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when we go visit someone whose home is not so clean and we'll come home, he's like, oh, thank God. So he appreciates it. But I'm also a little bit anal about it. It's kind of terrible.
We have dogs that are inside dogs, and so we're always dealing with hair.
Oh yeah,
obviously, but we try to stay on top of it.
We got a little
much
dog
as possible, but
have you tried one of those automatic vacuums? Those are awesome.
We have it. We have a iRobot or whatever it's called.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And I talk to it like it's a person. I'm like, you stupid, you've been over there for an hour.
Yeah, it gets stuck or the batteries run down and it doesn't go to its little home base or something. And
ours will go behind our bar and it just stays over there. Nobody's behind the bar. There's no dirt. I'm like, so I have to pick it up. I'm like, and I'm talking to it like it's a person. I said, you dumb thing, you come over here. This is where the dirt is.
What's bad is if it talks back to you, then
that could happen. If I ever hear it talking back to me, that will be a whole nother issue. Yeah, that's one of the perils of having been a housewife for so long. I was a housewife for most of my life here, and gosh, there was a certain amount of disrespect that you get being a housewife from people who think that everybody should have like a major career and stuff like that. But I had 4 children. I was outnumbered, so I really needed to stay home. But I remember I would laugh at myself because I would bump into a piece of furniture and I would, with my upbringing, I'm like, oh, excuse me. I'm saying, excuse me to a piece of furniture. Then I laugh and so I'm having this whole conversation.
Yeah, I think we all do. I think we all do that.
That's wonderful, though.
I know when I'm sweeping or vacuuming or whatever, I'll talk to whatever, you know.
Oh
It
yeah.
happens to all of us.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, if anybody saw me actually like having a great old time all by myself, they would think I was nuts. But it's okay. I don't mind. People think what they want to think. So here in Lago, I just wanted to know: is there anything that you wanted to talk about
Well,
Lago?
actually, we have actually quite a bit going on right now. It's getting to be election time,
Oh,
and as of 6 p.m. yesterday, our deadline to file for city council positions closed.
oh,
So we have positions, place 2, 4, and 6 that'll be on the ballot in November here in Lago.
oh.
And for place 2, the incumbent is Councilor Don Barthlow. Well,
Mm-hmm.
he is not running. He's not seeking re-election.
Oh,
So his position is wide open, and we have had 3 people file for place 2, and
wow.
that is uh, um, former councilman Kevin
Mm-hmm.
Sullivan has filed for that place.
Mm-hmm.
One of our former municipal court judges, Rob Durbin, has filed,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have a new candidate. Her name is Diane, and I know I'm going to say her last name wrong, but it's Jean Jopin.
Mm.
Diane Jean Jopin, I believe. I know I'm going to say her last name wrong.
I
Um,
do that all the time.
so,
Forgive yourself. I forgive myself quickly.
oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I got that
Well,
wrong. Okay, well,
and she forgives me too.
oh, that's nice.
She'll tell me in council meeting. She's like, "Oh, you're close."
Oh,
But anyway, I'll have it. If she wins, I'll have it down before too long. So,
you know
we
what? With the names, don't I love languages. I speak 3 languages, and I can get along in several others. Not fluently, but and I love languages. So my thing is when I meet someone that I don't know how to pronounce their last name, I go home and look it up and practice, and then I come back and I go, I can pronounce it now. And you know what? That is the most wonderful thing. I've seen people get teary eyed because somebody went through the trouble of learning how to pronounce their name.
Yeah, and I have that on my to-do list. I've only met her in person like 1 or 2 times,
Mm-hmm,
and it was during a council meeting, so I never really got to speak to her one-on-one.
mm-hmm.
The rest have been through our virtual council meetings. So I haven't really got to speak to her one-on-one. And
Where is she? Where's that last name from? I wonder.
and that's what I want to ask. I would like to get the history, the background on her name. But
That would tell you how to pronounce it because I mean, really, like things in Italy are pronounced differently. Like if you have an I behind a C, if it's just one C, it's pronounced like ch, and if there's 2 C's, it's pronounced like k. And it's like there's so many. If you know where it's from, then that'll help you pronounce it their way.
yeah.
Like I worked at a restaurant called Maricchiatos. It was an
Oh,
Italian restaurant, but everybody called it Marcheros. I'm like, that's not how it's pronounced. It's Maricchiato. And when I went to the job and I interviewed for the job as a wait person, he said, "How did you know how to pronounce it?" I go, "Because that's what I like to do as a hobby, kind of, because I just like languages."
yeah. Well, and I've always enjoyed that about the Central Texas area because we've had a lot of the German heritage
Oh yeah,
here, but we're also close enough to Louisiana where you get the French, Cajun, the French names,
I'm
and
Creole, by the way.
Creole. There we go.
Yeah, my mom, I come from a long line of Thibodeaux and Broussards.
Oh,
Yeah,
see, there you go.
yeah, and I
And then of
speak
course,
French. Je
and we
parle
also have
français.
the Hispanic culture,
Yeah,
from Mexico and South America. So, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, but I love well, I grew up listening to Creole and English, and it was, I remember thinking, wow, you know, I always thought I spoke the bad French because it was Creole, right? And then my first time to France, and they would say to me in French, "But your French is just fine." I'm like, "No, it's the bad French. My family's from Louisiana. I'm Texan, but my family's from Louisiana. And they would say, but your French is just fine. And then when I came back from my first time in France, I had this one professor who introduced me to another professor who was studying the French language in Louisiana. And he said, oh, he studied 23 different dialects of French just in Louisiana.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a
really?
lot. I wouldn't have thought that. But
Yeah. And he said that my particular French was more like old French rather than the normal Cajun French. He said our particular dialect, because we would say things like, we would say pas connais, and that would mean I don't know, pas connais, I don't know, you know. But in French, in regular French, you would say je ne connais pas. That means I don't know.
Yeah.
But pas connais, he says, it's actually old French, kind of like old English. He says it really means it is not known. Rather than saying, I don't know, it is not known.
Right.
It's like, wow, I didn't know that we were that profound down there in Lake Charles.
Yeah. So that's place 2. And we've got
okay, what determines the different places? Is it geographical?
It's just the election cycle.
Okay.
All of our spots are open citywide. They're at large positions, but we stagger them 1, 3, 5 in mayor or odd years. 2, 4, and 6 are even years. So it's just the way the elections are held. They don't really mean anything as far as geographic location or anything like that. So that's just.
I didn't know that. I don't know a lot about city government. I just know when they're bad.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you don't reckon. I don't know. I'm like, things are good for me. But yeah, it is a city government has to be completely different, because I know the cities that are being run by Democrats seem to be doing not so well because of their policies. And I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy to live in.
I always wonder the size.
Yeah.
Because what you'll see is in the media, they'll compare large cities, states, you know, so they'll compare a Democrat-run city like, I don't know, Chicago or something versus a Republican-run city like, I don't know, Miami. Is he Republican? I think he's a Republican.
I think so. But there's a lot of Republicans in Florida.
You know, so they'll compare large cities, and I always wonder, you know, at my level, at a small city, you know, is there a difference between a conservative mayor and a liberal mayor, and how their cities?
There would be, though. Nowadays, nowadays I think there would be, because there's so many. I think local policy efforts that if a Democrat was running, I'm just, maybe I'm a little bit biased. I've been Republican my whole life, so I'm like, you know, if you really want your town to turn into a ghetto, elect a Democrat, because that's what's going to happen. It's going to. They run it into the ground, tax and spend, and they got programs for everything. And if you've got a problem, let's make a whole new law for it. And it's just craziness to me. I look at my neighborhood that I grew up in, and when we lived there growing up, it was clean, it was nice, it was crime-free, all Black neighborhood. It was crime-free. It was called Pleasantville.
That's good.
Yeah, but now
for any community, whether it's all Black or not, crime-free is great.
It was crime-free. I could play outside all day long and come in at dinner time, and I was safe and sound. And I'm still friends with my neighbors and all this stuff. Now, though, when I go there, everybody's got burglar bars on their windows, and it's still pretty. It's still really pretty.
Well, you know, by statute, your local governments are nonpartisan, so you don't have party affiliations. So, I mean, you'll notice in your larger cities that they will tend to want to lean to one party, Democrat or Republican, but by statute, they're nonpartisan races. So I don't run as a Republican or a Democrat or a Libertarian or anything for mayor. I run for, mayor of Lago Vista. As I'm running for everybody.
I noticed that.
I'm not trying to pit one side against the other. We're all one.
That's great,
community.
because
So
we are all one. Well, I want Lago Vista to just stay really nice. You know what I mean? And I'm really kind of concerned about Cedar Park spreading out, like it's growing so fast. Does that worry you a little bit? Or
well, it used to worry me more than it does now, because the state legislature in 2017 session, they outlawed involuntary annexation. So now the cities like Cedar Park and Leander is actually more of a concern than Cedar Park. Leander can't just come across Nameless Road and down behind our airport, behind Jonestown, and just pick up land. Now, somebody would have to ask to be annexed into the city limits. So it's going to slow the growth down, completely, except for whenever a developer comes in and wants to be annexed into it. So
yeah, they're building a lot though right now in Lago.
Yeah.
I mean, the noise pollution of the builders across the street, and then there's another new house coming up around the corner, and I'm looking at television, like everybody's worried because they see young people tearing down everything. That I'm saying, not here in Lago. We have just the opposite problem.
Yeah. Yeah, most people that have been here for years, and especially during the slow years, 2012 to 16, we were averaging about 10 houses a year.
Really?
And now the last couple of years we've done 275.
Gosh.
And so people aren't used to that pace, but nobody really realizes that Lago has already been platted and set out for, 10,000 homes.
Wow.
When the original developers, they platted it all out for thousands of homes. And
I
so
didn't know
it's
that.
just been sitting, and,
Do you think we're going to get a bunch of people who vote blue because of all the exodus from the cities, because of the riots that are going on in those other cities?
yes and no. Naturally, when you have people coming in from California and New York, we have quite a few from New York. There's going to be a natural change in the voting. But if you talk to these people coming in, a lot of them have left because they didn't like California and New York. And
That's
so
true.
they're actually pretty conservative people.
That's true.
So it's not going to be as drastic a change as like you'll see with your larger cities. Because like in Austin, with their big corporations and stuff that they bring in with Tesla and these IT companies,
They're all coming here.
They're bringing people that are moving here for the job, not necessarily because they like the conservative values that we present in Texas. So those cities will have a lot more change to blue than a small city like we will. We're going to get people that want to be here because they like Lago Vista.
Yeah, that's why we moved here. Because I just like the atmosphere. I like that it's a little bit slower moving, and people aren't taking themselves so dang seriously.
Yeah. Well, our city motto is live like you're on vacation. And we're trying to keep it that way. I'm going to finish up the elections real quick, and then I'll go back to that. But so I've talked about place 2. Place 4, we have the incumbent Tim Collins.
I know him.
He served one term so far. He's seeking re-election. And we have a new candidate by the name of Shalane Marion. I've seen her on video, but I have yet to meet her.
I'd like to find out who these people are.
Well, you'll get the chance.
Okay, good.
It may be virtual, but
That's okay.
We will have it's not going to be the typical debate
Mm-hmm.
like the President's Council has put on at the Performing Arts Center in the past, but they are good. The guy that runs it, has already been talking to me about how he's going to try and do it virtually
Mm-hmm.
to, put the candidates out in front of everybody.
If
So
you
it'll
ever
be
have to
good.
do another debate and you need some tips, I'm your girl. Because
Well,
I map out a debate like you wouldn't believe. And
I'm sure I
that's
will, because I'm not quite ready to retire yet. So,
well, I'm like I said, there's like every time watch a debate, I watch debates on TV. I look for debates because I that was my thing,
hmm,
and I see where people where they in every debate you have to anticipate one of two or three responses to whatever you say, and so it's almost like you can draw a diagram of your debate before it ever even happens.
oh, wow.
And that way you're really prepared, and that's how you win a debate. Because okay, if you say this, they're going to either say this or they're going to say that, but you end up designing the debate because, well,
Yeah.
it's a strategy. It's all
Yeah.
about strategy, and like there's so many people on television, I'm like, they don't know anything about debate. I'm like, what the heck, that she should have done this, she should. Okay,
Yeah. So
Elizabeth Warren,
you have like
remember.
a yes, no flow chart or an if then flow chart type.
Exactly. And you can map it in your head, but I used to use cards, but with like Elizabeth Warren when she was doing her debates, and not even the debate, her whole thing, her way of campaigning was kind of messed up. When she found out that she was only 1,000th of a% Indian, she should have really, I mean, I would have had her go a completely different way, but she said, she was like, huh. Because for her first response was, are you saying my mother was a liar? And then she did it on national TV to
Ooh.
find out she wasn't an Indian. I'm like, oh my gosh. If she wanted to win, if she wanted to gain votes, her response should have been, oh my gosh, I'm so hurt. I'm devastated because I learned to love my culture. Being an Indian, I love, being Native American. And that's what I loved about myself. And that's so disappointing to find out that that's not who I am. You know what? She would have gained the entire Native American nations if she did that right.
Yeah.
But she messed up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have been the best advisor.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've never looked to see what I am. I'm just me.
Well, you're sincere. See, now as a debater, you don't. I've done, when you do debate, you don't always get to do your own point of view. Sometimes you
All
actually
right.
pull it out of your hat, and you don't get to pick a side. You have to debate whatever you pulled out. Literally, we had a top hat in our class, and you had to debate for whatever you pulled out of that hat. So you have to be able to argue for both sides,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
that was fun.
Never done any debate classes. So.
Oh, you would have. I loved it. It was like a sport for me. But I don't debate my friends anymore. I found that if I want to keep a friend, I don't debate because I go in for the slay. You were going down because I do strategy, and so that's why I've learned hard lessons. I'm like, when people say, "Oh, let's debate, let's talk about that," I'm like, no, because I would destroy you. Basically.
Yeah. And I think too much. I think I, I wouldn't be a good debater because I think a lot, and I would want to. I like to hear what everybody has to say, and then go back and sit down and think about it, and then formulate my
Mhm.
thoughts. So I'm not real good on the fly. I have to
Yeah.
think about things.
Well, like I said, if you ever need any help, let me know because I'm
Well, I
your
will.
girl.
I will.
I love that. It's like, for me, it's a fun thing to do. But people who've never done it, like the way that I learned, at UT, it was pretty severe. It was, you really had
Well,
to
I
know.
imagine.
Oh yeah, and I thought I was going to think, thought about being a lawyer, but I don't think I could do like family law
Mm.
and see like kids who are hurt and people getting divorced, and I don't.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I could have handled it. I have a good friend. She's still in California. And she was a family lawyer, and her husband both lawyers, and she took some time off to have her kids. And we had a Bible study together. And she was really, she said that, having children and having a family, she was a great debater. I mean, really good and skilled, but she knows that it can be a very painful thing for people who aren't detached and looking at the skill of the debate.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pain involved. And in fact, the diocese there, I'm Catholic, asked her to be a tribunal lawyer for them. And she said she couldn't do it because she didn't want to be a part of all that pain. You know?
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
That happens. But Lago, you know what I found? Most of my friends that stayed in California are divorced now. They're all divorced. It's contagious in California. I came here to Lago, everybody's married. I'm like, oh, good. I love being married. I can't imagine. That's one of the reasons I left. It was just too much craziness going on there. There's people, it was not good. And I lived in a really good area, and it was just a moral vacuum. And I didn't want to feel like I'm always judging people or stuff. And you start to accept things as normal that are completely abnormal. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, because you're living it and seeing it every day and just getting immersed in it. Yeah.
And you think that's normal. You start to think, oh my gosh, so-and-so is fooling around with so-and-so and so-and-so's fooling around. I'm like, really?
Oh, I see that all the time, just from living in Austin. Because I've lived in Austin area now for 50 years. So 25 in Austin and now 25 in Lago. But I will go, see my parents. They live in East Texas, or I'll go somewhere that's not in a big city. Mm-hmm. And, oh gosh, everything is so different than what I accept as normal here in the Austin area.
Exactly. And when you see that, you go, it was actually, I'm thinking, I really regret that I raised my kids in California, even, because even when I would bring them home to Texas to visit my family, I remember thinking I had to reteach them all their manners because they had California manners. And you have to say please and thank you a lot, a lot. And they were impressed. My grandson, he's growing up here, and he's so much more well-mannered than the kids that I knew in California. And he's only
and they'll change too, as your children, as young married families bringing up their own kids, they'll change, and things will be different. They'll be more Texas style than they were California. You'll notice the change in your own kids too. I see it in mine, and they're still all in their 20s. So,
that's when you make most of your mistakes, though, between the ages of teens and in your 20s.
Yeah, my
kids are in their 20s and 30s now, and I'm well preserved. So
I have a birthday Monday.
Your birthday's Monday?
Yeah, the 24th.
Oh my gosh, a happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, 56.
56, you're a young thing. I'm 58.
I'm getting a little gray right there,
Oh, a little gray. I don't even go there. I'm so done with gray.
That's why I normally shave it bald, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd never seen you with hair, come to think of it.
It's driving my wife crazy, but he likes me bald. So.
I like my husband bald too, but I kind of miss when we first got married. He had kind of reddish brown hair, and he was bald on top, And I had never even dated somebody who was bald, Oh. And our first date, he took me to this really nice restaurant, and he was cute. I mean, he had the dimples and the blue eyes and smile. He had it going on. And then we sat down, and he took off his hat, which I had never seen without his hat. And I remember going, oh. Oh, yeah. But then by the end of the dinner, all I could see was the dimples. So,
well, and so for me, at 17 years old, I went to Texas A&M.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm an Aggie.
Oh,
And
see,
I
back in the
joined,
day, my friends that went to Texas A&M, I used to send them sympathy cards, and we
but
had Aggie
I joined,
jokes.
I joined the ROTC, the Choral Cadets there.
Oh, I love
And
ROTC.
so from age 17,
Uh-huh.
I've had a military style haircut. That's 40, almost 40 years now. So I've never had hair.
So you're a Marine.
Yes, 26 years.
Wow, that's tough.
But talking about dates and hairs, I mean, you've met my wife.
Yeah.
We met on a dating site, and she didn't have any pictures posted. So our first date was actually a true blind date.
Uh-huh.
And she had told me that morning, she goes, by the way, I have shorter hair than you do.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, there's no way. And sure enough, when I showed up, Kathy had shorter hair than I
A
did.
buzz cut, yeah.
And well, now that I shaved my head, she doesn't, but she still wears that buzz haircut.
I think she rocks it. I think I'm a, I think that a lot of men think they know what they're attracted to, and then they find out that, like my husband, for our first date, I couldn't believe he said this to me. And I'm not a feminist at all, but he said, "Oh, and don't wear too much makeup. I hate when women wear too much makeup." So of course I put on double makeup, double every day. I put a Miss Kitty. You ever watch Gunsmoke?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I put a little Miss Kitty mole on my face too, just for good measure, And I remember opening the door when he came to pick me up, and he went, "Wow." Oh, so you think you know what you want, and you don't know what you want until you see what you want. That's the thing.
Well, and it's all about that person inside too. So.
Oh yeah, I have that thing too. But your wife is really nice. I really liked her from the very, very beginning.
Well, thank you. I did well.
You did
I got
well.
lucky.
You got lucky, and don't forget that either.
Oh no.
I tell my husband almost every day, "You realize how lucky you are to be married to me? Do you have any idea?" I think I do give a lot of relationship advice, it seems, to people it seems like people come to me for advice that I'm thinking, why are they asking me, but I'll give them my opinion, and my friends will say, "Kathy, you should write a book about that." I'm like, serious? I'm just telling you some common sense. Like these.
Yeah.
My children don't listen to me, but other people's children listen to me. My children have heard it all. They just blow me off, But
Yeah.
I'm literally, there's places I go where people go, "Kathy, come over here. And then they want to ask my advice about their relationship. And I'm like, okay, well, it seems to me like this one friend, she says, "Oh yeah, I keep buying him presents and I do this for him." And she goes, "But he never does that for me." I go, "Oh, so he's a cheap bastard." And she goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah." I said, "I'm married to a cheap bastard, but even if you have a cheap bastard, he will spend his last dime on you if he loves you."
Hmm.
And so if he's not feeling that, then don't waste your pretty on him.
Yeah, right.
That's how men are.
I'm
Well, anyways, I better let you go, and I gotta get to doing stuff over here. And
Are we out of time?
Oh, we're not. I just thought you looked like you were anxious. I didn't know if you wanted me to.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I was just checking my notes because I still have quite a few things that I wanted
Tell
to.
me. I'm sorry. I talk a lot.
Well, so to finish the elections that I started, we still have one last place 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the incumbent's Frank Robbins.
I don't know him. I haven't.
Well, he's been in Lago for quite some time, and he was actually, I want to say he started off as public works director back in the day, and then he was an assistant city manager, and then he retired. In 2018, he ran for city council. So he served one term as a council member now, and he's seeking re-election. And then we have Paul Prince is a candidate running for that place. Paul is him and his wife run the art studio here on Don Drive. So if you're
I've always wanted to go in there.
if you're familiar with that, that's the Princes, Paul and Myra, or Mira. I don't know if it's Mira or Myra.
I'm going to go check that place out because I'm an artist, you know.
And he's also been serving on a committee, one of the appointed committees, for at least a year, if not 2 years now.
Are these nice people, would you say?
Oh, yes. Yes. I mean, they're all nice as far as, I haven't met all of them personally, but what I do know of them, they're all outstanding people. I mean, you figure if you're going to get into this type of work, you
better be
most of them are quite upstanding people. So very nice, very cordial, professional. So
I like to meet them.
We have 7 candidates, so it's going to be nice. I just hope that the community gets the opportunity to meet them and
maybe I should have all of you on my show.
Maybe
that might be an idea right there, because
that would be a good opportunity. That
would be good. Then, so my friend Felicity taught me how to do this, and so I could have like 4 people at a time,
Yeah.
And then people could hear what they have to say. I think that's what I wanted, what I want from you is like that's because I want people to know how nice you are, because you are. And I was like, wow, when I met you, I was like, you know what? He's brave. And when you had that dinner, I was like, he's brave. And he's sitting here, he's opened himself up to answer all the questions that people have. And I'm like, I don't know if I would be able to do that.
Well, I talked about communication when I started running for mayor in 2017, and I got to hold true to that. So I try to do something every month to allow people to sit and talk to me on a personal one-on-one basis.
Well, because we don't have like a Lago Vista news program,
right?
Most people find things out by gossip, and
social media.
That's unfortunate, because you know how gossip is. By the time it gets to the 30th person, it's morphed into an entirely different story.
Well, and I'm very active on our social media sites as well. So, I try to communicate with the citizens as any way that I can. So, I
might do a show just for this, because I mean, it's important that people in Lago understand what's going on, because we're isolated. Like I said, we don't know. If you're not on social media all day, some people are all day on social media, but if you're not on there all day, then how are you going to vote? Because I know the people that I know, we will put on a spacesuit to go vote if we have to.
Right.
And we're going to vote.
It's good because it gives you access to people, but it is extremely difficult because everybody's reading between the lines and they're putting their own emotion into what so you will type something, and especially if I say something, 20 different interpretations. If I type something and it's misinterpreted,
emotionalism.
So, or you can put one word. Social media people will latch on. Very tough way to communicate. Like, oh, gosh.
Yeah.
And then you got to go back and try and defend yourself. I don't shy away from it. I will get out there and like, now he's just defending himself, and and it's
oh god.
So social media is really not so much. It's really tough. I mean, I get appreciation for being out.
That's why I'm not a politician. I appreciate it because I don't block a person like that.
Definitely get blowback.
You get one shot at being a jerk to me, and I'm done.
And it gets misinterpreted. I'll get cursed at. You can put one word, all kinds of stuff, but people will latch on. Just kind of.
I know.
Try to keep it even keel, and then you got to go back and try and defend yourself. Well, then
I trust that you're a good steward of your position, though. I really do.
Oh, well, now he's just defending himself, and
I do pay attention more than I
social media is really tough.
You know what I mean?
It's really tough. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's hard. I would. That's why I'm not a politician. I wouldn't be in your position because I don't like to be a leader. I don't want to be responsible for anybody. What? I'm like, no, you get one shot at being a jerk to me, and song to people, and I'm like, no, that might be your ministry, not mine.
And all kinds of stuff. But I just kind of the rewards outweigh it all. Even keel.
Really?
and
It
go
does.
along.
What are
That's
the
just that you're a
rewards?
good steward of your
So,
position, though. I
You know,
really
we're
do.
going through all this
And
COVID
it's
stuff.
not
And
unwarranted.
we've been
'Cause I
pretty
do pay
much
attention
kind of
more than I seem to. You know what I mean?
locked down
Thank
at
you.
times.
It's
That's good.
really
Still
it's hard.
stay-at-home practices.
I wouldn't be in your position
Can't
because
have
I don't like to
gatherings
be
more
a
than
leader.
10
I don't want to be
people.
responsible for anybody. I'm just
You know, so we're still
I'm
pretty
like,
much.
no. I mean, I will preach
We're not
a
officially
song to
locked
people,
down, but
and
we're
I'm like,
still
but that might be your ministry,
kind of in
not
a
mine.
lockdown type situation.
Mhm.
But for us out here,
The
because we
rewards
are
outweigh it all.
isolated,
Really?
It has
it
been
does.
really nice.
What are
Actually,
the
pretty
rewards?
normal.
So, you know, we're going through all this COVID
So you'll
stuff.
see if you read,
We've been pretty much,
if you
kind
listen to
of
the media and read things about
what
what the
lockdown at
effects it's
times,
having on our
still
economy.
stay-at-home practices. Out
Um,
here,
Mhm.
can't have
Our
gatherings
sales
more
tax
than
went
10
up
people.
almost
Mhm.
50%.
You know, so we're still
Yes,
pretty
we have
much
had 3 consecutive record
we're
months of
not
sales
officially
tax.
locked down, but we're
Whoa,
still
that's good.
I see.
Kind of in a
so I think
lockdown
at
type
one point I saw
situation.
we were like 48.9%.
But for us out here,
because we
I don't know
are
exactly where it's at
isolated
now, but it's
still
Mhm.
over
it has
40%
been really nice.
increase
Actually,
for
it's
the
pretty
year.
normal.
And a lot of that is due because
So you'll
people
see
are
if you
staying at
read,
home and shopping local.
if you listen to the media and read
and
things about
they're not
what
going into
the
Cedar
effects
Park
it's
and
having on
shopping.
our
Oh no,
economy.
I'm all into the food trucks right
out
now.
here,
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I love
So
those
our
food
sales
trucks.
tax went up.
So
Almost
we've been trying to
50%.
develop, the administration and myself.
Yes, we have had 3 consecutive
We've
record
been
months of
trying
sales
to
tax.
develop Lago
Whoa,
Vista
that's
to
good.
be
So
independent.
I think at one point I
And
saw
this
we were like
shows-
48.
This is actually shown,
been a great
I don't
example
know
of
exactly
how
where it's at now, but it's
Lago
still
can
over 40%
be an independent
increase
small
for the year.
community.
And a lot of
And
that is due because
people
are
will
staying
say,
at home.
well, you're
and shopping
a
local,
growth monger. You're wanting
and
growth.
They're not going into
And
Cedar
that's
Park and
truly-
shopping.
that's
Oh
really
no,
not
I'm
what
I'm
we're
all
looking
into the
for. We're
food
just
trucks
wanting
right
to
now.
develop
Oh
it.
yeah.
I
So
love
we're
those
trying to
food
bring
trucks.
in
So
these,
we've been trying to develop
retail
the administration
stores.
and myself.
If you've noticed,
um,
we now actually have.
We've been trying to develop Lago Vista.
I don't know if
to
the
be
Anytime Fitness
independent.
has opened
Mhm.
yet.
And this
'Cause
shows
there's still
this
some
is actually
restrictions
shown
on the gyms and
been a
stuff.
great
But
example
the
how
Vista Village
Lago
Shopping Center
can
Yeah.
be an
we
independent
have the
small
Wild Navy boutique
community
there now.
I
And
haven't even checked that out.
People will
Anytime
say,
Fitness is
well,
there,
you're a
and we
growth
have
monger.
several
You're
more
wanting
businesses
growth.
slated,
And that's
to come into that
that's
shopping
really
center.
not what we're
Mhm.
looking for. We're just wanting to
But
develop
COVID has
it.
slowed it down.
So we're trying to bring in
I would have
these.
I would have thought we'd have
retail
5 or 6
stores
in that shopping center by
If you've
now.
noticed, we
had
now
not
actually
had
have
the
uh,
COVID issues.
Mhm.
I don't know if the
so
Anytime Fitness has opened yet.
you can
'Cause
see with
there's still some
if we
restrictions
develop
on the
it right
gyms
and
and
just
stuff.
get the
But
businesses
the
in here.
Vista Village Shopping
that
Center,
Lago can
Yeah.
become
we have
very
the Wild Navy boutique there now.
self-sustaining and an
I haven't
independent.
even checked that out.
Anytime
community
Fitness
and
is
not
there,
necessarily experience
and we have
huge
several
growth.
more
We just gotta
businesses
develop it
slated to
properly,
come
and
into
that's
that shopping
what
center.
we're trying to work
Mhm.
on.
That
That
shopping
would be
center.
good
COVID
for
has
Lago.
slowed it
I mean,
down.
that's the ideal.
I would have.
That's the ideal for
I
for
would
me
have
as
thought we'd
a
have
as
5
a
or 6 in that
conservative. I
shopping
like
center
to
by
be
now.
independent. I
Had
don't
we
want to be
not had the
dependent on anybody
COVID
outside of
issues.
myself or outside
You know,
of my
so-
city. Or you understand what I'm saying?
You
Oh,
can
yeah.
see
Yeah,
with,
it just it
if
goes
we develop
slower
it
than you
right and
want.
just
I
get
mean,
the
you've got
businesses in
You've
here.
got these
plans and their
Lago
1-year
can
plans,
become
3-year,
very
and 5-year, and
self-sustaining and
plans, and
independent.
you can see it in your mind,
community,
Mhm.
and
but it
not
doesn't
necessarily
happen
experience
fast.
huge
growth.
So
We just gotta
When you see
develop
it in your mind, that's the
properly,
first
and that's
step.
what we're trying to work on.
The Dawn
that
That
Drive
would be
shopping
good
center,
for Lago. I mean,
town
that's the
center
ideal. That's the
development
ideal
that
for,
we've
well,
been
for me
pushing for
as
3
a
years. You know,
conservative.
the
I like
lots are
to be
selling.
independent. I don't
You've
want to
got
be
people that are
dependent on
wanting to
anybody
come in
outside of
build stuff
myself
along
or
Dawn
outside of my
Drive
city. Or
to
you
turn it
understand
into
what
a
I'm saying?
walking.
Oh yeah,
It-
it goes
shopping,
slower than
dining.
you want. I mean, you've
Yeah.
got these
Area.
You've got these
but it's
plans,
just,
and they're 1-year plans,
you know,
and
it's
3-year,
just
and
kind of
5-year,
slow,
and
of course,
got these
again,
plans.
we've got the
and
COVID stuff,
you
so
can see it in your
things are
mind,
kind of slow,
Mhm.
but it doesn't happen.
they're coming
fast.
along.
We're
You know,
not going to
so-
be
When
in
you
this,
see it in your mind,
I
that's
don't
the
believe
first
we'll be
step.
in this
You know,
COVID
the Dawn
mode,
Drive
for
town
much
center
longer. In fact, I think it's going to probably
development that
be
we've been
much
pushing for 3 years.
over
You know,
by
the lots are
end
selling.
of the election.
You've got
Yeah,
people that are
you hear that,
wanting to
and
come in
I'm
and
I
sure
believe
build
it
stuff
because they're
along
never
Dawn
going to
Drive to
eradicate it
turn it into a
completely.
walking.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
just going
just,
to treat it better.
Shopping,
just
dining,
after the election, you
Area.
can't use that
But
to
it's just-
campaign on. So
Mhm.
everybody will
it's
have
just
to
kind of slow and
go to work.
Of course, again, we just got the COVID
So,
stuff. So
yeah, I would say
things
that
are kind of slow, but
after the first
they're
year,
coming
whoever's
along.
president,
We're
they
not
have
going going to
that
be
100
in
day
this.
period or whatever,
I don't
I
believe
think
we'll
you'll
be
see a
in
lot
this
of action.
COVID mode.
Oh yeah,
Because people are going to
for
realize,
much
we've
longer.
had
In fact,
to
I
deal
think
with
it's
the
going to
plague,
probably be much
smallpox. We've dealt
over by the
humanity has
end
dealt
of
with
the election.
these
Yeah,
kinds of things
you hear that,
before,
and I'm
I
sure
believe
there's
it
a
because
lot
you're
of
never
truth.
going to survival
eradicate
of the
it
fittest, so to
completely.
speak, because
Yeah,
they'll
well,
just going to
It-
treat
it's
it better.
sad, but that's
just
pretty
after
much
the
what
election,
happens in
you
humanity
can't use
throughout
that to
history.
campaign on. So
We've dealt
everybody
with
will
these
have to,
things before,
go to
and,
work.
Mhm.
and it will
So,
happen again. This
yeah, I would
probably
say
won't
that
be the last.
Oh no.
after the first
thing,
year, whoever's
you know.
president, they
I
have
think
that
what we
100
might
day
have
period or
learned,
whatever.
we might
I
have
think you'll
learned
see a
something
lot
from this
of
one,
action.
in that I don't think we will ever again
because
allow
people
the
are going to
government
realize,
to shut
we've had
everything down.
to deal with
Hopefully
the
not.
plague.
I don't think we're gonna, because I don't think people will put up with it. At
Humanity
least
has
Texas
dealt
won't.
with
We will
these kinds
we
of
will
things
secede from the
before,
union before
and,
we do that.
basically,
I
you end
think
up with
I don't think
survival
Texas
of the
will
fittest,
ever
so to
stand
speak,
for that.
because
And
it's
sad.
most
But
Texans
that's pretty
I
much
know.
what
I'm just
happens in
talking about
humanity
of
throughout
myself
history.
me
We've
and my
dealt
husband,
with
we're
these
involved
things
in NRA and
before,
stuff like that, and we believe in our
and it
freedoms.
will happen
and we
again.
believe in
This
the
probably won't be
Constitution,
the
and
last
these are important
no.
rights
things that we
you
have.
know. But I think
And
what
we
we
have to
might
do everything
have
in our power to
learned, we might have learned something from this one,
and make
in
sure
that I don't think
that
we will
we
ever
are able
again
to leave
allow
that
the government
Constitution
to shut
to our children and
everything down.
grandchildren.
Hopefully
Well,
not.
and we'll have
I don't think
we'll
we're
have
gonna, because I don't
generations
think
now
people
that
will
have
put up. At
experienced
least
it.
Texas
So
won't.
the next time around,
We will secede from the union
hopefully
before we
they'll
do that.
share what
But
they've
I
learned.
don't think
You
Texas will
mentioned
ever stand for
the
that.
smallpox.
And
My
most
parents
Texans
went
I
through
know,
that.
I'm just talking
But,
about of myself.
Gosh, up until now, I mean,
Me and
they've
my
never
husband,
talked
we're
about
involved
that
in
stuff.
NRA and stuff
I
like
didn't,
that, and we believe in our freedoms, and we
So,
believe in the Constitution, and these are
now that we've
important
had
rights
people
and
going
things
through it
that we have,
next round,
and we have to do everything in
I
our
think it'll
power to
be
preserve
the
it,
community,
and make
citizen
sure
society will be
that we
much
are able to
better
leave that Constitution to our children
prepared
and
to handle it,
grandchildren.
and we
Well,
won't
and we'll
have to
have-
take
we'll
such
have
drastic
generations now
measures
that
like
have
the government
experienced
did
it.
at the
So
beginning of
the
this
next
one.
time
So,
around,
It was very drastic.
hopefully
But you know
they'll
what? My
share what
dad,
they've learned.
he was
You mentioned
Army
the
guy, and
smallpox.
he
My
was always
parents
prepared
went through that,
for.
but
He told me some
gosh,
things
up
that
until now, I mean,
that
they've
probably
never
would have
talked
scared
about
other
that
people's
stuff.
children, but
I
never
didn't,
me. You know what I mean?
So,
but he grew up, and his
now that
father
we've
died when he
had
was very
people going
young,
through it,
and with
next
12
round,
children.
I think it'll be,
And he's worked
the
since he was
community,
like,
the
I think it was as far back as I can
citizen
remember.
society
Like
will
I
be
was
much
3 years
better
old, I was working.
prepared to
He was
handle it,
literally
and
like
we
shining
won't
shoes
have to
and
take
doing
such
stuff like
drastic
that in
measures like the
Louisiana.
government did at the
Everything,
beginning
whatever
of
they
this
had to
one.
do
So,
to eat.
It was very
right.
drastic.
And when he
you
went
know
to
what, my dad
war in Korea,
he was
because
Army
Kathy,
guy,
this is what
and,
changed my mind
he-
about. He was always prepared
about
for
firearms.
He told me
because
some
I
things
always
that
I always had
probably would have
firearms
scared other
growing up.
people's children, but
We had
never
hunters in our
me. You know
family
what I
and stuff
mean?
like that.
But he grew
he said,
up,
but when
and
I was
his
in
father died when
Korea,
he was very young.
They didn't
with
have
12 children.
We didn't have a
you
war
know.
just over here
And
and stay away
he's
from
worked
the
since he
suburbs
was like,
over there.
as far back as I can remember.
He said
like
we
I was
went
3
through
years
places
old. I
that
was
had
working.
wives and children.
He was literally
Oh, yeah.
shining shoes.
And he said,
doing
I'd
stuff
like to
like
think
that
that
in
if something
Louisiana.
happened here
Every
in
American,
whatever they
we're
had to
very
do
spoiled
to
here.
eat.
He
Right.
said,
And
something
when he
happened
went
here,
to
I'd like to
the
think my
war in
wife and family
Korea,
could take care of
because
themselves.
Kathy,
Yeah.
this is
and
what changed my
protect
mind
themselves.
about, and that's about firearms.
What I learned,
He
and,
says,
and
because
even
I
when
always
we had like
I always had firearms.
we
growing
had
up.
a fire
We had
in our
hunters
house
in our family
when I
and
was
stuff like that.
in high school.
But
And
he said, but when
the
I was in
firemen
Korea,
found all of this
they
food
didn't
up
have
in the attic.
We didn't
My
have a
dad
war
had
just over
just
here
in
and stay
case
away
of a
from
war.
the suburbs
Right.
over there.
Yeah.
He was
No,
always
he said we
prepared
went through places
for
that
a
had
war. He wasn't
wives
thinking
and
about
children,
Armageddon,
Oh, yeah.
and
you
he
know,
said, I'd like to think
he
that
was
if
thinking
something
just
happened
in
here
case,
in America, because we're very
because
spoiled here,
he's going to make sure
he
his
said,
family's
something
okay.
happened here, I'd
Yeah,
like
all
to
the
think my
canned
wife
goods
and
and
family
stuff,
could take
yeah.
care of
Yes.
themselves.
And it was
Yeah.
I didn't
And
know
protect
none of us knew he was
And
doing
that's,
all that. He was a
you know,
prepper from
what I
way
learned,
back.
and even when we had,
But he
like,
said that we were spoiled,
we
and
had a
and
fire in
he
our
gave me
house
tips on
when I was
debate
in
and stuff.
high
But I had
school.
to argue. I was supposed to argue.
The firemen
against
found all of
women
this food up in the
combat.
attic.
My dad had
And he
just
was
in
giving me
case
the
of
other
a
side
war.
and what I
Right.
could say.
Yeah.
He was always
they could go
prepared
here. But
for
one
a war.
They
He
never
wasn't
brought up
thinking
the
about
opposition.
Armageddon or
I was prepared for
you
it
know,
though.
he was
But
thinking
he
just
said,
in
what
case,
if
because
they brought the
he's
war
going to make sure his
home?
family is okay.
You
Yeah,
know,
all the
Which is
canned
what
goods
women
and
trained.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes. And it was, I didn't know,
Yeah,
none
more
of
than
us knew
likely,
he was
yes.
doing all that. He was a
Exactly.
prepper from
So,
way back.
that
Yeah.
was, but they never brought that
But
up.
he said
so I
that
wasn't
we
gonna
were
bring it up for
spoiled,
them.
and
Right.
he gave me
But
tips
yeah,
on
my
debate and
dad was
stuff
so
that I
smart.
had
He
to
would have loved
argue. I was supposed to
This is
argue
him.
against women
Yeah, I mean,
in combat.
we're
and
we're
he
doing
was
really
giving me
well
the other
here
side
in
and what I
Lago.
could say, and this they
our
could
golf,
go here. But one thing that they never
we're
brought up the
a large
opposition.
golfing community.
I was
Lago
prepared
I'm a
for it,
golfer.
though.
Yes, I am. Lago
But
Vista golf
he said, "What
course.
if
Hey, there you go.
they brought the war home?
We've had
Yeah.
record years.
You
I
know,
mean,
would
July
you want
was
women trained
all-time record.
then?
We had,
Yeah, more than likely,
I haven't
yes.
seen the final numbers for the
Exactly.
month of July, but we
So,
were approaching $100,000
but they
in
never brought that
revenue
up, so I
in our
wasn't going to
golf
bring it up
course
for them.
for the month
Right.
of July.
But yeah, my dad was so
You know,
smart. You
it's-
would have loved him.
It's
It's just
it's still
Yeah,
I mean, a work in progress,
we're-
but it's getting better.
We're doing really well here
Um,
in Lago.
golf. That's one of the reasons
our
we
golf,
moved here was for
you
the
know,
golf, because
we're
Gary and I are
large
both
golfing
golfers.
community.
And it was like,
Lago
I'm a
is-
golfer.
you could
Yes,
buy
I
a
am.
house
Lago
next
Vista
to a
golf
golf
course.
course. This was so
Hey, there
cool.
you go.
And
We've had record
I'm still
years.
a new golfer
I mean,
compared
July
to
was
him, but I've been
all-time
golfing
record.
for
We
over
had
10 years now. And
I haven't seen the final numbers
when
for the
I
month
moved
of July,
here,
but we were approaching
I
$100,000
didn't join the
in revenue
WGA right
in
away,
our
but
golf course.
I would golf
for
by
the month of
myself and
July.
with Gary and stuff like that.
You know,
And I love
it's
golf. And one of the
it's
things
still
that it's
a
been
work
great
in progress,
equalizer
but
really
it's getting
has
better.
been golf for me because of the handicap
golf.
thing. That's one of the reasons we
I can
moved
beat
here was
my
for the
husband
golf
now
because
my
Gary and I are
handicap
both
is so
golfers.
high.
And it was like, wow, we could buy a
So,
house
you know,
next to a golf course.
If we
This was
can
so
if we
cool.
can continue the
And,
momentum,
I'm still a new
develop
golfer
our
compared to
economic
him, but I've been
retail
golfing
side
for
of the
over 10 years
community
now.
and
And
the sports and
when I moved
recreation,
here,
we have a new park that's going to be
I
coming
didn't
online.
join the WGA right away, but I
too
I
long,
would golf by myself and with Gary and stuff like that.
What's going on over at that other golf course? I'm over here at Lago Golf Course.
That it's
What's
been a
going
great
on over at that
equalizer
Highland
really
Golf
has been
Course? I
golf.
haven't been
and I
over
really
because of the
can't say
handicap
because
thing.
we've sold it and it's now privately owned.
I can beat my husband now because
I
my
do think it's
handicap
going to be
is so
going on the
high.
market before too long, though.
So,
And,
you know,
and
if we can
continue the momentum, I've heard
develop
rumors.
our
I don't know
economic
anything for
retail side of the
community.
I
think that it may be
the
going on
sports
the
and
market.
recreation,
We have a
soon.
new park that's going to be
Wow.
coming
'Cause
online
I remember I had a
um,
friend that was working over at
before too
Avery
long.
Ranch.
It'll
And
What's going on
she
over
was
at
saying
that other
that,
golf course? I'm over here at
that they
Lago
were
Golf
thinking,
Course.
she goes,
What's going on
that
over
her
at that
company
Highland
was
Golf
looking
Course?
at
I haven't
Lago,
been
and
over
I
to
really
the golf
can't say
course.
because we've
That
sold it
was
and it's now
12
privately
years ago.
owned.
Okay. And I don't know what
do
happened
think
with
it's
that
going to be
because
going
they-
on the
Yeah, and
market before too
I don't know. We're
long, though.
always
and transferring.
we're always
owners
marketing.
I've
both
heard
the courses.
rumors.
I
I
don't
mean,
know
Highland
anything
is
for-
now
I guess it's
fact,
called
but I think
Lake
that
Travis
it may be
Golf
going on the
at
market.
Green Deer
soon.
or something. I don't know what
Wow.
the
Yeah,
name
I
of it
remember
is.
the deer remember I had a friend that was
Um,
working over at Avery.
But we're always
Ranch.
putting it
And,
out. Even our
she was
municipal
saying
course.
that,
We're always
that they were thinking that she goes,
entertaining
that her company was
companies to
looking
come in
at
and
Lago's
manage it or to
golf
even buy it
course.
or something to
That
try
was
and make it
2 years ago.
the best course that we
And
can.
I don't know what happened with that.
Look at
because
Torrey
Yeah,
Pines.
and I
corporate.
don't know. We're
in
always
San Diego. I mean, that is a municipal
we're always
course.
marketing
And, you can make
both the
it,
courses. I mean,
you can
Highland
make
is
it
now.
exceptional.
I guess it's called
and it will draw
Lake
people
Travis Golf at
to the course.
Green
And
Deer
we-
or something. I
I've
don't know
seen
what the name
improvements.
of it is.
I remember the
now.
deer
I'm on the
were
15th
fairway here.
But we're
And-
always,
Okay.
Yeah, I've
putting
seen
it
a
out.
lot of
Even our
improvements.
municipal
Watering
course.
it
We're
looks a
always
lot better.
uh,
I love the green up there,
entertaining,
though. That's my favorite.
companies to
It's
come in
my
and manage
most
it or to even
unfavorite
buy it
hole,
or
though,
something
'cause
to
it
try and
goes
make it
uphill all the
the
way.
best course that we can.
And you have to
yeah.
get to
Torrey
the left,
Pines,
or else you're
in
sunk.
San
If
Diego.
your
I
ball
mean,
goes to the
that
right, you're gonna
is
probably
a municipal
lose it, which is why I
course.
find so
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
balls. You can make it, or you
But
can
I-
make it
yeah.
exceptional.
I think that
that
having
and
that
it
for
will draw
the kids,
people. The kids
to the
really should
course.
take
And
advantage of
I've seen
golf
improvements.
courses.
Are we
'Cause I'm on the
like,
15th
affiliated
fairway
with the
here.
PGA at all?
And-
Because
Oh, okay.
my kids,
Yeah, I've
did
seen a
junior
lot of
golf
improvements that they've been
at
watering.
when we were
it
in
looks
San
a lot
Diego, and
better.
junior golf was
I
the
love the
cheapest
green up
sport
there, though. That's
for
my
a kid
favorite.
to do.
Uh,
It cost
so-
$80 for the
most
whole season.
unfavorite hole, though, because
So I do know we have some affiliation. I don't know exactly
and
what
you have
all
to
we
keep it
have.
to the left,
Mhm.
or else
But
you're
Justin
sunk.
out at
If
Point
your ball
Venture
goes to the right, you're
is
gonna
highly
probably lose
involved
it,
with the
which is why I
Junior
find so many balls.
Golf Association and
But
the
I think
Harvey
that,
Pinnock
that having that
First
for
Tee
the
organization.
the kids
They have
really
now
should take advantage
expanded
of golf
out
courses.
to the Point
Are
Venture
we
course.
like affiliated with the PGA
So
at all?
that's a
Because
lot
my
of
kids did
youth
junior
golfing
golf
that goes there,
when
and
we
they
were in
will.
San Diego.
Justin will
and
bring
junior
them
golf
over
was the
on occasion
cheapest sport
to play the
for
Lago
a kid
course.
to do.
It costs
So
$80 for the whole
our
season.
youth participation has
So
gone up.
I do know we have
considerably.
some affiliation. I don't know exactly
It's good
what
for
all
them
we
to
have.
learn. My kids
But
didn't
Justin
want
out
to
at Point
do junior
Venture
golf. I put them in
is
anyway,
highly involved
you
with
know?
the Junior
And now
Golf Association.
all of them are starting to
and,
play golf again.
the
Like
Harvey
my daughter
Pinnock,
got first place.
First Tee
1 year for
organization.
her
They have now
age level. My
expanded
boys got first place
out to
2
the
years
Point
in a
Venture
row.
course.
You know, their team
So
in
that's
their
a
junior golf
lot of
tournament.
youth
But it was like
golfing
back
that goes
then, this is a
there.
while ago. It
And
was
they will,
$80.
Justin will bring them over
And
on
that
occasion
included
to
everything.
play
And
the
they
Lago
even
course.
catered the food and
Our
the trophies.
youth
And when
participation
we did
has gone
softball,
up considerably.
that was $245.
With
And you still had to learn. My kids
Oh,
didn't
right.
want to do junior golf. I put them in anyway. I'm like, you're kidding me. And then now
did all that for
all of them are starting to play golf again. They provided
my daughter
the
got
got first place 1 year
Oh,
for
wow.
her.
Yeah.
They were so on top of
my
boys
the
got
junior
first place
golf
2
thing,
years in
and
a
I was
row.
like, I was amazed.
You know, their
Now,
team.
my
My
daughter's
daughter's
golfing
golfing
again.
again.
She's
She's
golfing
with
with Gary
Gary
every
every Saturday.
Saturday.
My
It
son's
was
managing a
$80.
golf course in Los
And
Angeles.
that included everything.
Wow.
And they
They
even
all
catered
went
the
back to it. They
food
like
and the
rejected it after because
trophies.
you
And when
forced
we
us
did
into that.
softball,
I just
that
want
was
you to have some skills,
$245
just in case.
and you
You
still
just
had
never
to
know
sell
candy. You know.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
And
I think our high school
But
had
the junior golf was like
2 or
$80. I'm like, you're
3
kidding me.
of
And then
the
they
kids
all
that
that for the
were
kids.
at the
And if the
3A
kids
level
didn't
last
have
year
clubs,
went to state.
they provided the
So our
clubs.
high school is doing really well in
wow.
golf as well.
They were so on top of
it's
the
a
junior
skill
golf
that
thing,
people
and I was
really
like,
don't
I was
understand.
amazed. Before
Now,
I was a golf
my
widow,
daughter's
and I
golfing
hated
again.
golf.
She's golfing
You
with
know,
Gary
I
every
was like,
Saturday.
here I am
My
with 4
son's
screaming
managing
children,
a
and
golf
he was
course
off
in Los
golfing,
Angeles.
right?
You know,
And
Wow.
then when
they
he bought
all
me these
went
golf
back to it.
lessons
They like
one year,
rejected it after
and I
because
almost threw the
you
envelope
forced us
back
into
at
that.
him.
I just want you to have some
golf
skills,
lessons are
just in case.
kidding me for
You just
Christmas.
never
you know.
And now
You
you
know,
love it. And I think
I
our
know.
high
I
school
ended up
had
my second
2 or
class
3
at
of
Fred
the
Arcana.
kids
He was
that
my
were at the
teacher.
3A
He was
level
from
last year
Hawaii.
went to state.
Anyways, awesome.
So our
My
high school
second
is
class,
doing
I
really
realized
well
I had a
in golf
really
as well.
long.
So
Well,
It's
it's
a skill
and
that
I was
people
good
really
at
don't
something.
understand.
Before I was
you
a
know,
golf
this is
widow,
kind
and
of
I
fun,
hated
and I
golf.
got into it.
You know, I was
And
like, my
I was
husband.
talking
Here
to
I
my
am with
nephew
4 screaming
yesterday
children,
about
and
this
he was off
because
golfing.
I was telling him
Right?
he needs to
And then when he
learn to
bought
golf.
me
He
these
needs to come
golf
visit
lessons
so we
one
can
year,
teach him golf.
and I almost threw the envelope
Because
back
I
at
said
him.
it's something you can do for the rest of your
golf
life.
lessons are just
And
kidding me for
yeah.
Christmas.
And he
you
went
know?
on about
now you love it.
He was
I know.
he's gonna
I
be on
ended
my
up
show too.
second,
He
my
was saying how
second
he thought
class
that Trump was a
at
racist.
Fred
And I was like,
Arcana. He was
I
my
don't
teacher.
think so.
He was from
I'm thinking
Hawaii.
1993,
Anyways,
Mar-a-Lago, that whole
my
story
second class,
was
I realized
awesome.
I had a really
You know,
long
Mar-a-Lago, the
drive,
city of Palm,
and I
Palm
was
Beach,
good at
they would
something. I was like,
refuse
oh
to
my
give him
gosh,
permits
this is kind of
to
fun. And I got
upgrade
into it.
Mar-a-Lago for Trump.
And I was talking
Uh-huh.
to my nephew
They kept
yesterday
denying
about this
his
I was telling
permits
him he
for
needs to
improving his golf
learn to
course.
golf. He needs to come
And
visit so we can teach him golf.
He decided he was
Because
going.
I
He
said,
sent
"It's
them
something you
all.
could do for the
Everybody in
rest
the
of
city
your life."
council of Palm
And
Beach
Yeah.
sent them all
and
a
he
copy
went on
of
about
the movie Guess Who's Coming to
and he's
Dinner.
going to be on my show
Because
Oh.
the
He was
reason
saying
that
how
they
he
didn't
thought
want
that
him
Trump
to do
was
it,
a
he was going to
racist,
be
and I was like,
unrestricted.
I
An
don't think
unrestricted
so.
golf
I'm
course
thinking
means
now blacks and Jews could
Mar-a-Lago, that whole story
This is
was
1993.
awesome. You know,
And so
Mar-a-Lago,
before that,
all
the
of the
city
golf
of
courses in
Palm Beach,
they
did
would
not allow
refuse
blacks
to give
or
him
Jews.
permits
Huh.
to upgrade
Wow,
that's
I
Mar-a-Lago
wouldn't
for
have thought
Trump.
that. Wow.
Uh-huh.
And they kept
73
denying
maybe.
his permits for
Yeah.
improving his golf
he
course.
was going to have his
And,
golf course be unrestricted.
he
Blacks
decided he was
some of
going.
them didn't
He
even
sent
allow
them all,
Catholics. and I'm
everybody in the
Catholic
city
too.
council
It
of
was like
Palm Beach.
he sent them
all a
it's-
copy
that's
of
great.
the
world,
movie Guess
the
Who's
history of
Coming to
golf
Dinner.
is really
Because
interesting.
the
yeah.
reason that
Well,
they
I can
didn't
remember
want
when
him to do
Augusta
it, he
was
was going to
going
be
through that.
unrestricted.
I don't
An
remember when it
unrestricted
was.
golf
It was
course
in the
means
90s
that
or
now
whatever.
blacks
But I
and
know
Jews
Augusta
could
went through
join.
that some as well.
This is 1993.
Well, he was
Wow.
going to be. He was the first.
so
And then when
before
he
that,
sent them a
all of the
copy
golf
of
courses
the
in
movie Guess Who's
Palm
Coming to
Beach
Dinner,
did not
because
allow
he knew why
blacks
they
or
were
Jews.
denying his
Huh.
permits.
Wow,
And
that's great. I
then he
wouldn't have
slapped them
thought
with a
that.
$100
Wow.
million
73
lawsuit.
maybe.
Of course,
93?
now he gets his permits.
Yeah.
So he was going to have his golf course be unrestricted.
yeah.
Meaning blacks
so,
just
but a
have
lot
to
of
do
people
it
don't
then.
know that.
allow
But
Catholics.
when
And
I
I'm
first
Catholic
started
too.
golfing,
It was like
somebody
it was-
told me about
yeah,
that, and I
it's-
looked it
that's
up, and it was
great.
like
the first
the
or second
history of
thing
golf
is
under
really
Google.
interesting.
Yeah.
Donald
Well, I
Trump.
can remember when Augusta
Now
was
you have
going
to go to
through
page
that.
30 to find
I don't
that
remember
story.
when it was. It was in the 90s or whatever,
Google.
but I know Augusta went through
Just
that
saying.
some as well.
Yeah,
So,
well,
so
he was
therefore
gonna
you're
he
at
was
on
the
the,
first, and
you
then
said
when
that,
he
you
sent
said
them
you're
a
on the
copy
tee
of
or the green
the
at
movie Guess Who's
15?
Coming to
I'm
Dinner,
in fairway.
because he knew why they were
Fairway,
denying
the
him first.
right.
And
So
then he slapped them with $100
keep an eye
million
out.
lawsuit.
We
Of course,
just
now he
launched, I
gets his
think it
permits.
started today.
Hmm.
Today, I
Well,
think is
yeah.
day number
And
one.
so, but a
Have
lot
to
of
do
people
what you have to
don't
do.
know
We
that.
have
But
a new
when I first started
door-to-door
golfing,
pickup service
somebody told me about that,
in
and I looked it
Lago
up, and it was like the
as
first or
part of
second thing
Cap Metro.
under Google for
Um,
Donald Trump.
You know, we
Now
have been
you have to go to
paying
page
them.
30 to find that.
This
story.
year we will pay them almost $700,000 for
Just
bus
saying.
service.
So they're where
That's a
you're at
story
on
I
the.
don't want to
You
really
said
get
that-
into
you said
today.
you're on the T or the
But
green.
Paying
at
for, but
15?
I didn't know. I
think
saw
you're
that
on the
bus
fairway.
before. I don't know
So
what's going on with the bus
Keep
service.
an eye
but
out.
do
Yeah,
they-
we
it's
just
been very
launched, I think
for the
it
money that
started
we give them.
today.
It hasn't been very
Today, I
efficient.
think, is day number one.
But I've been on them.
We
Why
have
do we
a
have to
new
pay for that?
door-to-door pickup service.
We back in
Lago,
1986
as
or
part of
something,
Cap Metro,
voted to get into the Cap
Really?
Metro system.
You know, we have
okay.
been paying
and so they
them,
get 1% of our sales
this year
tax.
we will pay them
1%
almost
is big, though.
$700,000.
So this year about
$700,000.
$700,000.
That's a story I don't want to really get into
So-
today.
How often do they come
but-
back and
for
forth?
bus? I mean, do
I
they
didn't
have
know.
one
I
bus or
saw
there's
that
several?
bus before.
So we
I
have
didn't know
one
what's
bus
going on
that
with the bus
runs-
service. But
Does a
Yeah,
small
it-
loop in Lago,
It's been
picks people up and
very
they'll
for
run
the
to the
money
train
that we
station
give them.
at Lakeline.
It hasn't been very
That's
efficient.
Route 214.
But I've been on them,
Um,
you know,
Why do
and
we
that's
have to
all
pay
we've
for
had
that?
for years. And we were averaging
We,
about
back
7
in
people a day.
1986
so you got to
or
take the
something,
bus to go to
Voted
the
to
train
get into the Cap Metro
Austin?
system.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And so
That's
they get
crazy.
1% of our sales
Starting
tax.
today, we have a
1% 's
door-to-door
big,
pickup
though.
service.
So this year about $700,000.
You can download an app where there's a
So-
phone number
How
you
often
can
do they
call.
come back and
give
forth?
them
I mean,
your
do they have
address.
one bus
They
or
will
there's
come to
several?
your door.
So we have one bus
pick you up
that runs
and they'll take
does
you
a small loop in Lago, picks people
uh,
up, and they'll run to the
anywhere
train
in Lago
station
Vista where
at
you
Lakeline.
want to go.
Yeah.
So if you want to go shopping,
Route 214, you don't want to get out and drive.
and that's all we've
you
had
can-
for
you
years.
can call Cap
and
Metro.
we were
they'll come
averaging
pick you
about
up.
7 people
You
a
can
day.
go to the
So you got to
go to
take
the
the
grocery
bus to
store,
go to the train to get to Austin?
There's a
Right.
They don't
Do
go
they bring you
every-
back home though?
Now,
I mean, do they
starting today, we
So
have
they'll
a
drop-
door-to-door pickup.
They drop you
service.
off. You do what you need to,
so
and then you would have to
You
call them.
can download an
again to
app
get
where there's
back.
a phone number you
But
can
they will
call.
take you back.
Give them
It's
your
just a separate,
address. They will come to your
a booking
door.
separate.
So it's
and
like
pick
an
you up,
Uber type
and they'll
service.
take you.
But
Is
that
it
starts
expensive?
anywhere in
How
Lago
much does
Vista
it
where
cost a person?
you want to go.
$1.25.
So if you want to go shopping and you don't
That's
want to get
cheap.
out and drive,
So
you can.
we're
you can
hoping
call
that
Cap
will be
Metro.
well
They'll
used.
come pick you up. You can go to
Whoa.
the.
You
You can go to
At
the
your
grocery
house?
store.
I did a little promo.
CVS.
right out with
There's
them
a-
last week.
They don't
Do
go
they bring you
every
back home
officially
though? I
launched
mean,
today.
So they'll
I saw
drop
when I was coming
They
into
drop
City
you
Hall
off.
today. I saw
You
the
do what
pickup
you
bus
need to, and then you would
sitting
have
out
to
in the
call
parking
them
lot waiting for
again
somebody to
get back.
But
call.
they will take
So,
you back. It's just a
they
separate.
they
a booking separate.
advertise a
So it's like an
15-minute
Uber
response
type service.
So wherever
Do
you're
they,
at,
do they advertise
How much
though
does
at
it
all?
cost
Do
a
they let
person?
people know that that's
$1.25.
available, or because I bet you a lot of people don't
Yes.
know that's available.
Well,
So
they do.
we're
but
hoping
as you
that
know,
will
out
be
here in
well
Lago,
used.
it's kind of
We
hard
did,
to advertise.
I did a
We've
little
got
promo
it on our city
right out with them
website and
last week, and then it
it's
actually officially
on our Lago
launched
radio.
today.
We announce it, and
I saw when I was coming into City Hall today.
they're
I saw
putting
the
up
pickup
flyers,
bus,
and actually we have
sitting
something
out in
going
the
out
parking lot waiting for somebody to
call.
in our
So
water bills.
they
That talks about how you
they
download the
advertise a
Cap Metro
15-minute
pickup
response.
app.
Mhm.
So
And,
wherever
Do
you're
they,
at, it's
do they
new
advertise
service,
though
so
at
we're
all?
gonna
Do they
see
let
how-
people
That's
know
very
that that's
inexpensive.
available, or
So
because I bet you a lot of people
Well,
don't
yes.
know that's
For the
available.
individual.
they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But as you know,
add
out
that
here
on
in
to the
Lago,
sales tax we're paying them.
it's kind of hard
That's
to
another story.
advertise.
Yeah.
We've got it on our
So-
city website.
And then we
and,
have one
it's
other
on our
really,
Lago radio.
really
we announce
big
it and
announcement.
they're putting up
Um,
flyers, and actually we have
With
something
the
going out.
COVID, the
the
federal government put out all
in
this
our
money, right?
water bills that talks about how
help
you
people
download
and
the
stimulate the Cap
the
Metro
economy,
pick
keep
up
it going,
app.
whatever.
And
So
it's
the city of Lago
a new
Vista
service, so we're going to see
That's
how.
is in
it's
Travis
very
County.
inexpensive.
Well,
We
for the individual.
could not get
Yeah.
our funding
Yeah.
direct.
You
from
add that
the
on to
federal
the sales
government.
tax we're paying the city.
I
That's
had to
another
go
story.
through Travis County
So
to get.
And then we
my
have one
Corona
other
relief fund
really,
dollars.
really big
And
announcement.
we've been battling that.
Um,
Travis County was the last one in
with
the state
COVID,
to actually
the
give
federal
their small
government put out
cities
all
any
this
money.
money, right? For
The last one in
to
the state of
help people and
Texas?
stimulate
254
the
counties.
economy,
Travis
keep it
was the
going,
last.
whatever.
That's sad.
So
Well, and
the city
I
of
don't want to
Lago
get into the
Vista,
politics there.
I
but
know,
Travis
but it's just
County,
very sad
um,
because they could do. They
we
should do better
could
by
not
us.
get our
So
funding
direct.
I've
from
been
the
battling
federal
them
government
since
as a
May.
city.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
had
to
to
get
go
our money
through Travis County
yesterday to get
I got the
Corona
email
Relief Fund
from
dollars.
Travis County saying that they have
And
approved
we've been
my
battling
economic
that.
recovery
Travis County was the last
program.
one in the state
It is
to
called
actually
LERP.
give their small cities any
LERP
money.
stands for Lago Economic
Last one
Recovery
in the
Program.
state of
Oh, I write that
Texas.
down.
Yeah, 254 counties. Travis was last.
That's
LERP.
sad.
LERP.
Well, and
I don't want to get into the politics there,
I
but
know, but
Lago
it's just very sad.
Economic
because
Recovery
they should do
Program.
better by us.
So
I've been battling them since May.
and so right now,
to get our money.
we are going through the
Yesterday,
final certification phase.
I got the email.
Everything has
from
to be
Travis
Travis
County
County
saying
saying
that
that
they
they
have
have
approved
approved
need
my economic recovery
what we've done,
program.
we have come
It
up
is
with
called LERP
gift cards.
LERP
Lago
stands for Lago Economic Recovery
They'll be in
Program.
$50
Oh, I write that
increments, and those will go out
LERP?
to
LERP,
citizens
LERP,
on a needs basis,
LERP.
and that's going to be based on
Lago
median income for the
Economic
county.
Recovery
That's what we're
Program.
trying to finalize at what level.
Okay.
Do you qualify? If
And
you're
so
qualifying,
right
you
now,
can come to the city, sign up.
we are
and we will
going
give
through
you
the
final certification
Lago Bucks.
phase.
Lago Bucks
Everything
are-
has to
you
be
can spend them
needs-based
at
because it's tied to the
eligible
federal dollars.
businesses.
Need-based.
That's the other half
So
of
what
the
we've
program.
done,
I
we
have
have
to make
come
sure
up
my
with
business is qualified.
gift cards. But you
They're
can
called
take that
Lago
$50
Bucks.
Lago Bucks, spend it. They'll be in
at
$50
the
increments.
local business,
and
and
those
then the
will
local
go
business
out
can come to the city with their
citizens,
Lago Bucks, and they will get reimbursed
on a needs
for that
basis, and that's going to be
gift
based
card.
on the median
My question
income for the
is
county.
this. Can
That's
you
what we're
use
trying
it
to
at the
finalize
food
at what
trucks?
level.
Because I love the
Do you
food
qualify?
trucks.
If
they
you're
qualify.
qualifying, you can come to
Okay.
the city
And the
sign up,
qualifier
and
pretty
we will
much
give
is
you, are they
Lago
getting
Bucks.
money
Lago
in other
Bucks are-
programs
you
from
can
the
spend
county?
them at
Okay.
eligible
So
businesses.
if they have not
That's the other
gotten a
half of the
business
program. I
loan
have
or a
to make sure
grant
my
or anything
business
from
is
Travis
qualified.
County, they
You
should
can
be
take
able
that
to
$50
qualify
Lago
for my
Bucks,
program.
spend it
And that
at
is one of the
the
key things.
local business,
Is our food trucks,
and then the local
our,
business can come to the city with their
small
Lago Bucks, and they'll get
businesses,
reimbursed for that.
excuse me, that maybe provide
card.
services.
My question is this. Can
that
you
have
use
taken
it
a
at the
huge
food
economic
trucks? Because
hit.
I love the food trucks.
In addition
If they
to just our
qualify.
retail
Okay.
stores, but
And the
so we're trying to
qualifier
help
pretty much
is, are they
businesses at
getting
all
money
levels.
in other
I
programs from the
love small.
county?
I love to support
Okay.
local
So
small
if they
businesses
have not
because that
gotten a
always
business
it just
loan or a
makes for
grant or
better
anything from
community.
Travis County,
When
they
when your
should
small
be able to
businesses are doing
qualify
well,
for my
the rest of
program.
the
And that is one of the key
area is
things
going to be doing well.
is our food
So
trucks.
our
We're finalizing the
small businesses
qualification. Excuse me, that maybe
portions of it
provide
right
services. I would say hopefully by the end of this week we
that have
will
taken
have
that
that huge
finalized,
economic
and
hit, and we'll put out the announcement
in addition to
um,
just our retail
for
stores.
your
but-
Lago Bucks.
So we're trying to help
We have
businesses.
the total
at all
program is
levels.
about
I love small. I love to support
$240,000
local
that
small
we will be able
businesses
to interject
because that
into our
always
local
it
economy.
just makes for a better
So
community.
It'll help.
When
It'll
when your
help our
small businesses
residents.
are doing well,
$50
the rest of
at a
the
time.
area is going to
And
be
then
doing
it'll
well.
help.
People out here that
So,
really need it. I
We're
had no
finalizing
idea.
the
I mean, I didn't know.
qualification
I'm such in a bubble sometimes,
portions of
even
it
though
right
I
now.
study
I would
things all
say
over the
hopefully by the
world.
end of this week
When it comes
we will
to
have
local
that
things, I feel like
finalized,
sometimes I'm
and
in a
then we'll
bubble
put
because
out
I
the
didn't know
announcement
because I'm on the council at my church
for your Lago
and
Bucks.
there's a lot of different
We have
ministries that go and help
The
people
total
who
program
are
is
poor.
about
I didn't know there were some poor people in I'm
$240,000
serious. I
that
did
we
not
will
know.
be able to
And
interject
they're
into
like,
our local
I
economy.
had to call a bunch of
So,
them on behalf of
it'll
my
help,
church to see if people
it'll help
needed
our residents.
anything.
Yeah, $50 at a time.
There's a need.
And then
There's some
it'll-
people out here that really need it. I had no idea. I didn't know. I didn't know. Domestic I'm such in a bubble sometimes, even though I study things all over the world. When it comes to local things, I feel like sometimes I'm in a bubble because I didn't know.
Not been good
I'm
for
on the council at my church, and
I was reading
there's a lot of different ministries that go and help people who are
came out just a
poor.
couple of days ago.
I didn't know
that
there were
said
some poor people in Lago. I'm
50%
serious. I did not
of
know.
all
And
teenagers
they're like, I had to
had
call
actually
a bunch of them
contemplated
on behalf of my
suicide
church to
during
see if
COVID.
people needed anything.
Yeah, I can believe that.
And there's a
I
need.
don't have anything to
There's a
to,
need. There's situations.
debate
I didn't
what they're
know,
saying.
like
So I don't know how
domestic
accurate their numbers are, but
abuse and children who
even if it's
who
just
aren't in school
25%, those numbers just
I don't know what's going on,
Wow.
but that all
Is
of
it
this
really
isolation
having
has
that
not
much
been
of an
good for
emotional
the human psyche.
effect on everybody?
I was reading
Especially our teenagers.
People need people.
Came
They
out just a couple
do.
of days ago.
Wow, it was
said
it was an interesting
50%
read.
of
Oh.
all
It was
teenagers
from the Foundation for Economic
had actually contemplated suicide to
during
put that
COVID.
out. But
It's
Yeah,
I
I can believe
know,
that.
there's a need for
I
connection.
don't have anything
and I don't know how to fix it
to
during this
debate what they're
time. You know what I
saying.
mean?
So I don't know how
There's a
accurate their
need for
numbers are,
connection
but
that people don't understand because we've always,
even if it's just
like I said, we're
25%,
spoiled. We're
those
just
numbers,
accustomed
just-
being free people
Wow.
and doing what we want
is
to
it
do.
really
serious.
having that
But
much of an
at the
emotional
cost of what,
effect on
though?
everybody,
At the there's
especially our
people who
teenagers?
people
Probably
need
need heart
people.
medication.
They
do.
probably need to
Wow,
go to
it
the
was
doctor,
a-
but
it
they're
was an
leery of
interesting
going to the
read,
doctor,
Greg.
and they're letting
It was from the
themselves.
Foundation for
They're
Economic
letting themselves be
Education
completely.
that put that out. But
It's they let themselves
there's
go.
a need for
Health
connection.
wise.
oh yeah,
and
no doubt.
I don't know
And
how
so-
to
and I'm
fix
scared
it
of that.
during
I'm
this
scared that-
time. You know
I
what I
mean, I
mean?
don't live in
There's
fear,
a
but I'm
need
scared
for
for
connection
them.
that
I'm
people don't
thinking
understand because
that
we've
they
always
need,
like
we
I
need
said,
to have
we're spoiled.
some
We're
sort of
just
outreach,
accustomed to being
I
free
think,
people and doing what we
so
want to
that people
do.
don't feel alone.
Yeah.
You know,
At the cost
I
of
am
what, though?
I could be
there's
a
people
hermit
who-
and I would
who
be
probably
fine.
need heart
you know?
And I think
medication.
I do
Probably
know
need
our
to go to the
churches
doctor,
here
but they're
have been
leery of going to the
very
doctor.
forward
And they're
in
letting
trying to do that
themselves.
themselves.
Yeah,
so,
they're letting themselves.
We have a great
church community in Lago
Yes.
Vista.
yes, we do.
It has been so
They let themselves go.
wonderful because
health wise.
Oh,
when
yeah.
our church was
Yeah,
going
no
through
doubt.
renovations, we used
And so,
the church
and I'm
across the
scared
street
of that.
for,
I'm scared
for
I don't
functions
live
and
in
vice
fear, but I'm
versa.
scared for them.
And
I'm
that's
thinking
been awesome.
They need. We need to have
the town that
some
I
sort of
lived in
outreach,
before Ramona.
I
we
think,
had 33
so that people don't
churches in
feel
this little
alone.
bitty town.
You know,
33 churches,
and we couldn't
I,
keep one
I could be a
homeless
hermit.
shelter
And I would
open.
be fine. You
Yeah.
know,
And I think
that was
I do
sad.
know
It
our
was just a
churches
little
here
house
have
that that
been
they were trying to
very
feed people and
forward in trying to do
people
that
were
themselves.
so scared
so-
of them.
We have a
of
great
the
church
homeless community
that,
in Lago
yes.
Vista.
Yes,
I
we
thought
do.
that was
It has been
like,
so
gosh, you know, what would it take to
wonderful.
just have
'Cause,
one place
I mean,
that people can go get
when
a
our
meal?
church was going through
Yeah.
renovations, we used
That's
the
it.
church
I mean,
across the
I'm
street.
not saying you have to
for
pay their
for
health care
functions
and all
and
that. I'm
vice
just
versa.
saying, what would
And
it
that's
take?
been
Not
awesome.
much.
You know, the town
I
that
have,
I
you can't
lived
tell,
in
but
before
right here
Ramona,
to
we
my
had
right,
33 churches in this
thumbtacked
little
to my
bitty
wall
town. 33
is
churches,
my
and we
North
couldn't
Shore
keep one
Ministerial
homeless shelter
Alliance,
open.
where I have
Wow.
all the
That was
contacts for all
sad.
our
It was just a
churches.
little
I
house,
have
that
That's
they
one
were
of the
trying to
only
feed
things other than
people
my
and stuff.
calendar that I have
And people were so scared
thumbtacked to my
of
wall is
them,
the
of the
Ministerial
homeless,
Alliance, so that I can reach out to
you
them.
don't want to
I
see
thought that
what's
was
tagged to my
like,
wall.
what would it take to just
Whenever-
have
well,
one
I've got
place
other
people
walls
can go get a
too, but
meal?
I have this one.
right. I mean, right here
one
with the
thing.
arms
I
length.
I
I'm not
stress
saying
out about
you
all
pay
this
their
computer
health care
stuff.
and all that. I'm just saying.
And so
what would it
I do
take?
positive
Not
affirmations so
much.
I can say good things to
I
myself.
have, you can't
'cause
tell, but
I try to
to my
counter
right,
the negative
on-
self-talk that I
thumbtacked to my
have.
wall
And that completely
is
conquered
my
it, trust me.
North Shore
I
Ministerial
have this one sign that
Alliance,
says, I
where I
will
have
figure this
all the
shit out.
contacts for
Worry
all
is for
churches.
suckers.
And I
It's
have
non-productive.
That's one of the only things other Yes, than my calendar yes. that I have
And it's my favorite thing to look at.
thumbtacked to my
That's
wall.
right. I
is
will
the
figure it. Don't
Ministerial
worry.
Alliance,
I'm
so
going to
that I
figure it
can
out
reach to
eventually. You
them
don't
when
want to
I-
see
But
what's
yeah,
tagged
most
to my
people-
wall.
Whenever,
see,
well, I've got other walls
I think
too,
that,
but
I have
young
this
people
right,
who
I
are
mean, right here with the
disconnected.
arms
I mean,
length.
I
When we
stress
first
out about all this
moved here,
computer
there was
stuff.
a young man who
And so
who committed
I do
suicide.
positive affirmations
And,
so I can say good
he
things
was
to
a
myself
lovely
because I
young
try
guy,
to counter
you know?
the negative
He
self-talk.
didn't seem to have
that
any
I have.
problems
And that
or
completely conquered
anything.
it, trust me.
And
I have this one sign
it
that
was
says,
tragic. I mean,
I
he
will
helped me
figure
move my
this
sofa
shit
up
out.
in here,
Worry
you
is
know?
for suckers. It's non-productive.
nice.
Oh, yes, yes.
And it's my
If
favorite
something
thing to look at.
happens,
That's right.
Yeah,
I
I
figured
think
it.
that
Don't worry.
You don't know what's
Figure it
going
out
on in
eventually.
people's psyche.
But
Yeah,
you know,
most people they can be
but see,
dread.
'cause
There can be dreadful
I think that
things.
young
And
people
sometimes
who are
just a kind
disconnected.
word
I mean, when we
would
first
help a
moved
person
here,
out.
there was
You
a
know, young man who
I've had
who
depression
committed
before,
suicide.
and
He-
one day
he
I
was a
had the worst
lovely
day of my life.
young
You know,
guy,
everything
you
was going wrong
know?
with my kids that
He
one
didn't
day.
seem to
and
have
I
any
had to go shopping, and
problems
everybody
or
was
anything.
awful to me. And then
And
I came back
it
to
was
Lago
tragic.
Vista.
I'm like, he
I
helped
was
me move my
coming out
sofa
of
up in
Lowe's,
here, you know?
the grocery store.
Just
Wow.
a nice kid. Just went home, you know.
And
if
this lady
something
goes,
happened, huh?
That's such a pretty
"Yeah, I
dress
think
on
that
you. You don't know what's going on in people's psyche.
oh."
You know, but they
And I
can
was like,
be
it changed the whole day.
there could be dreadful
just one
things. And
thing.
sometimes just a
And
kind
sometimes I'm
word
thinking, I want to be
would
that
help
one
a
nice
person out, you
person.
know, that people
I've had
see that
depression
day.
before,
Right.
Yeah, my wife will come back
one
and
day
tell
I
me
had the worst day
things
of
like
my
that.
life.
Oh,
Everything was
somebody
going wrong
will
with
say
my
something
kids that
to
one
her,
day, and I had to go
you know,
shopping, and
usually around
everybody
her
was
haircut, you know,
awful
but
to me. And then I
she's always
came
like,
back to
oh,
Lago
it made my
Vista,
day,
and I was
you know.
coming
So,
out of
Yeah.
Lowe's,
yeah.
Well, I think
the
you know
grocery
what?
store.
She's got to be
Mhm.
Authentically who she is. And that's how I feel that
this lady
the
goes,
only kind of people
such
that
a
I
pretty
don't really
dress on
like
you.
are the ones that
I said,
come that
oh.
I can tell they're
And I was like,
faking
it changed
me.
the whole day.
You know, It's just one thing.
And sometimes I'm thinking,
I
want to be that one nice
person,
and I had to fight people to see that day. You know,
Yeah, my wife will come back and tell me
that we all have
like that.
some kind of fight in us.
Somebody will
what
say
we're
something
fighting
to
for
her
that makes a difference.
You know, usually around
but,
her haircut, you know. But
yeah, but you have to be
she's
authentic
always like,
to yourself,
oh,
and so
it made my day.
if
You know, so
yeah,
yeah.
I think you know what, she's got to be
drives me
authentically who she
crazy.
is, and that's how I feel that
Pelosi
the only
is the most
kind of people that I don't really like
She gets on TV and
are the
says,
ones that
I'm a
that
Catholic
that
and I pray for the
can tell
president
they're
every day.
faking me.
Well, she didn't tell me who she's praying to. I don't trust it. I don't trust it.
I'm
say
authentic
I'm
to who
this,
I am,
and then you do
and
that,
I had to
and it's
fight
just
the
the
opposite
opposite
of what you
authentic.
say. You know, and I think that
being
we all have
insincere in
some
some
part
part
of your
in us.
life. It's what we're fighting for.
And
that
so
makes
to
a difference.
me,
you know,
I'm not going to say
ever that I'm a perfect
you have
Christian.
to be
I walk through the
authentic
door
to
saying
yourself.
I'm a
And
sinner.
so
Where do I sit?
if,
You know,
that
inauthenticity we have
drives
to.
me
If we don't
crazy.
recognize that
Like
in
Nancy
ourselves, we have no
Pelosi
business.
is the most
No
inauthentic
business talking
person.
about anybody
She
else.
gets on
you know?
TV and says,
But it's just
I'm
to
a
me,
Catholic and I pray for the
when I
president
see
every day.
politicians
Well,
like
she doesn't
her,
tell me who she's praying to.
that gets
I don't
my
trust
goat.
it.
It just
I
really
don't trust it.
She can't
She-
say I'm
if-
this,
if-
and then
if
you
I
do
were
that,
a
and it's just
Democrat,
the
I would
opposite
have
of what
turned
you
Republican.
You know, just because of her.
You can't.
Yeah.
Just
being
because
insincere in
drives
some
me
part
crazy,
of your
the
life.
stuff she says.
And
You
so
know,
to me,
that
I'm not going to
community
say
of unity
ever
rally
that I'm a
that I
perfect
was
Christian.
talking
I
about
walk through the
earlier,
door saying I'm a sinner. Where do
one
I
of the
sit?
things that I
You know?
that I said that the
That
community was missing,
yeah, we have to. If
was
we don't
church.
recognize that,
and even with,
in ourselves, we have no
but I
business.
changed it a
No
little
business
bit.
talking about anybody
'Cause,
else.
you know, our churches are
But
great,
it's just
but I
to
was
me,
like,
when I see politicians like her,
we are
that gets my goat.
involved.
It just
We have
really,
so much hatred in
she-
ourselves,
if I were a Democrat, I would have
trying to
turned
rid that.
Republican just because of her.
So when I say church,
Just because she
I-
just drives me
I
crazy. The stuff she
expanded it to
says.
say we need to
in
get
that
into
that
civic
community of unity rally
organizations.
that I was talking about earlier.
So
Mhm.
you know,
one
not
of the
only
things
do
that I
that our
said that
churches
the
do
community
great work,
was missing,
but our clubs
was
like
church.
the Lions Club
And even with-
the Rotary
but I
Club,
changed
there
it a little
at
bit.
your church.
Mhm.
You know, our churches are great.
Those-
but I was
those
like,
type
of organizations,
We
we do so
are-
much
we
great
are
work in the community.
we
that
have so
it's-
much hatred
it's
in
almost like a
ourselves,
church in
and
itself.
we're
you know,
not
and that'll trying
you know,
to rid that
when you're working with
And
people and you're doing
so
things
when I
in
say
the community
church,
and stuff like that.
you
You really get to
expanded it
know
to say we
people and
needed
know
to
who
get
they are.
into
And
civic
that goes a long way in
organizations.
getting rid of that
that
bias
you know,
and that
not
hatred
only
that
do our
you
churches
may
do
have
great
and you
work,
may not even know
but
that
our clubs like the
you know.
Lions
Most of
Club
that comes
and
from
the
ignorance
Rotary
and fear,
Club
but,
there
you know,
at your
really,
church.
I have known people.
Those type of
It seems like in my
organizations
lifetime, I'm older than
um,
you.
do so
But
much great work
in my
the
lifetime, I've known
community
people
that
who had
it's
never known
almost
a
like
black
a
person
church in
before.
itself, you know.
And they really thought that they were
when you're working with people
racist.
and you're doing things
They
in the
did
community
because they were
and stuff
told
like
that they were when they
you
were
know,
children.
you
You don't
really get to
talk
know
black
people
you
and
don't
know
do
who they
that. You know,
are.
and then
that
when
goes a
you
long
become
way
friends, they're
in
like,
getting rid of that
I wonder why I thought
bias
that.
and that hatred that
You know,
you may
it's just
have
we
and you may
don't
not
know
even
them.
know
I
that
have,
you have.
you know,
You know?
most
I'm
of that comes from
the South,
ignorance and
so
fear. But
I was
raised
really
a certain way to be. We're nice to
I've known
everybody.
people-
We're
it
Texans.
seems
You know,
like
in
in
my
my
lifetime,
lifetime,
I can be in a room with somebody I cannot stand.
in
I'll
my
be
lifetime, I've
polite.
known people who
Oh,
had
yeah.
never known
I will
a black
be polite
person
because that's
before.
how my mama raised
And
me.
they really
Well, I will
thought that
always
they were
respect everybody.
racist.
Me
too.
They did because they were told that they were
the thing,
when they were
but I don't
children.
see,
You don't talk to
uh,
black people. You don't do that. You know.
I see
And
the
then when
humanity
you
of a
become
person.
friends, they're like, huh. You
I
know,
wonder why
and I
that.
try to look at that.
You
I try
know,
to see a little bit of
Well,
Jesus in
you don't
people.
know them.
You know,
I have
sometimes I have
you
to
know,
squint. I'm from the South,
Like,
and so
I'm
I
looking for Jesus.
was
He's in there
raised
somewhere.
a certain way to be. You know, we're nice
But,
to
yeah,
everybody.
it's just
we're
that
Texans. You know, we're
I
gonna
try
be
to
friendly
see the
everybody.
humanity in
I
people.
can be in a
There
room
used
with
to be-
somebody
I
I
had
cannot
prejudices
stand that I grew up
and I'll
with that
be polite.
that I'm
You know,
ashamed of now.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I will
Oh,
be
yeah.
polite because that's
I
how
did,
my mama
and
raised me.
I got
Well, I
over.
will always
Yeah, I
respect
got over 'em.
everybody.
I also
You know.
learned a lot, you know,
Yeah.
with maturity.
But
and
that's
so
the thing.
people
But
would,
I don't see.
we don't have that
uh,
many black people out here in Lago Vista.
I see the humanity
you know,
of a
but
person.
we don't have a race problem.
You know, and I
in
try to
Lago
look
Vista.
at that.
I'm just
I
here
try
to
to see a
tell
little
ya.
bit of Jesus
Yeah.
in people.
Really,
you know,
what's
sometimes
the
I have to
race?
squint.
That's why I'm so mad at these people in those
I'm
big
like,
cities.
I'm
I'm like,
looking
what
for
is your
Jesus. He's in
problem?
there
Really, you
somewhere.
didn't get your Nikes last week.
But
What the
yeah,
heck?
it's just
You know,
there's like
I try to see the humanity
compared
of
to
people.
what
There
my
used to be-
parents
I
went
had
through
prejudices that I
growing
grew up
up.
with that. that I'm ashamed of
Imagine.
now. You know,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they have a silver
I
spoon.
did, and I,
So
I got over 'em.
and they're
I got over
like,
them. But I
doing
also
this
learned
to
a
the
lot,
silver spoon.
with maturity.
They're saying,
And
you know,
so
they don't
people with,
appreciate what this country is.
we don't have that many black people out here in Lago Vista.
I think
You know, we
I
don't
love
have a
my
race
country.
problem. So in
But
Lago
we still got a
Vista,
ways to go.
I'm just
as,
here to tell
you know,
you.
we've seen
Really,
in the last few months. But
That's why
you
I'm
know.
so
You know
mad
what's
at these
worse
people
than
in those big
racism?
cities. I'm like, what is your problem?
There's
Really,
a lot
you didn't
of
get your Nikes last week. What the heck?
there's
You know, they're
a
like
prejudice against fat
compared to
people.
what my
There's a
parents
prejudice
went
Oh,
through.
yeah.
Ugly
growing
people.
up.
There's a
Oh,
prejudice
yeah.
against
Can imagine.
all sorts of people.
Yeah,
they have.
I'm
a
not
silver
kidding. It's
spoon.
not just a
So
race
and
thing.
they're
Right,
like
and that's
doing
I agree.
this
That's
to the
why when
silver
I was
spoon.
doing that
They're
rally,
saying,
that's
you know,
why
they
I
don't
talked
appreciate
about
what this country has
prejudice
done.
and bias and
And
hatred.
I think I'm
because
I love
it
my
goes way
country.
beyond just
So
a racial. We still got a ways to go.
yes,
As
it's totally.
you know,
It's
we've
a
seen
human. But we
in
always,
the,
you know what?
in the last
we
few
were
months,
all the
but,
same color.
you know.
And you know what's
We'd
worse
find
than
another
racism?
reason to be racist.
We'd say
I'm
there's
sure,
a
yeah.
lot of be racist against people with
there's
a big nose,
prejudice against
or a
fat
person
people.
with big
There's
ears.
a prejudice.
Oh,
It would be
yeah.
something different.
There's
We'd
a find
prejudice
something.
against all sorts of
Mankind
people.
will find
I'm not
something
kidding. It's not just
to
a race thing.
Right, and
to
that's
be
I
that
agree.
about,
That's
'cause
why when
that's
I was
the
doing
fallen
that rally,
nature
that's why I
of
talked
man.
about
That's the fallen
prejudice and
nature
bias
of man.
and,
I mean, we're
and
sinners,
hatred.
but that's the thing. So, but
Because
when we
it
recognize
goes way
and
beyond
we can
just
always make
a
things
racial
better.
thing.
You know?
it's totally.
But
It's a human.
But you
the-
know what?
I
If
think
we
the
were
first
all
step
the
for
same color,
everybody,
I think it's just to
we'd
be
find
kind
another
to
reason to
someone.
be racist.
We'd say
Oh, I'm
just to be
sure,
kind.
yeah.
To be
I
racist
mean,
against
just think,
people
just think
with
how boring
a
it
big
would be if we did
nose.
all look the same.
or a person
Yeah.
with big ears.
You know,
It
like
would
when you're
be
watching
something
movies,
different. We'd find something.
when you're watching these
mankind
sci-fi
will find
movies
something
and you have these
to-
aliens and stuff.
to
The aliens all look
to be
exactly the
that
same.
about, because that's the
You know?
fallen nature
There's
of man. That's the
the
fallen
creatures
nature
from
of
Mars.
man.
They
I
don't
mean,
come
we're
down and
sinners.
they have
But
red,
that's the
green,
thing.
yellow.
So, but when we
they're all
recognize it,
they're all the same
and we can
color.
always
And they
make
all look
things
exactly
better,
the same.
you know.
Yeah.
You know,
But
humans don't. We
I
don't
think
look
the
the
first
same.
step
And
for
to me, that is
everybody, I think, is just
fantastic.
to be
And-
kind.
I love
to
it.
someone.
I love it.
Just to
I
be
love
kind.
the fact.
When
I
you-
love
just
what-
think
I
how
love my
boring it
color
would be
of
if
my
we
skin.
did all look
I
the
do.
same.
My mother
Yeah.
made me. I come from a
You know, like
very
when you're watching
vain,
movies-
vain
So
family.
dull.
We all think we're.
When you're
I'm the
watching
cute-
these
I know, I'm the
sci-fi
good-looking
movies
one. No,
and you have these aliens and stuff,
That
the
was
aliens
I
all
grew
look
up- me and
exactly
my
the
uncles,
same.
They were the same way.
You know?
all of us.
There,
But the
there's
thing is,
creatures
for
from
me,
Mars.
I'm
They
an
don't come
artist, and I
down and they
paint.
have red, green,
And so
yellow.
I see color. And
They're
I don't
all
see
they're all
color.
the same
I
color. And they all
always
look
see
exactly
color.
the same.
I
Yes.
see
Yeah.
beige.
Humans
I
don't.
see
We're
pink.
we
You
don't
know,
look
like
the
they
same.
go,
And
which
to
one
me,
of
that
those
is
guys is your husband? I'm
fantastic.
like, the
I
pink one,
love
right
it.
there.
And I love
You
it.
know, because
I
Gary's
love
got
the fact-
freckles all
I
over.
love
Like, from a
I
distance,
love
he
my
just
color
looks
of
pink.
my skin.
You know,
I do.
And
My
he
mother
can't really
made me.
tan.
I come from a
You know,
very
poor
vain,
guy.
vain family. We all think we're.
I
I'm the
tan
cute-
sitting in a
know,
hot
I'm the
car. I
good-looking
will
one.
get
No,
a tan.
I'm the-
Oh,
know,
right.
I went to
That
Europe.
was
I
how
spent
I grew
4
up.
months
Even
on
my
the
uncles,
beach. They were the same way.
and I
All of
came
us.
back. But the thing
Yeah.
is, to America,
for
and
me,
I'm standing
I'm an
4
artist
feet
and I
from my
paint.
mom. I mean,
And
I'm
so I
telling you,
see
got
color.
So,
And
I
people,
don't see color.
I
I'm
was
like, I
tan.
always see color.
Black.
Yes.
See
That look
beige.
good,
I
black.
see pink.
I look
You
good.
know, like
My
if
eyes
they
look
go,
like
which one of
they're
those
lighter
guys is your
brown.
husband? I'm like,
Oh,
and
yeah?
which one, right
Skinnier.
there.
So
You know,
I like
Gary's
that.
got freckles all
It's
over.
like
He-
off
he-
the plane.
from a distance,
I'm
he
standing.
just
I'm like,
looks pink.
Mom.
You
And
know,
she's 4 feet from
and
me.
he
And she's
can't
looking
really
around
tan.
like, you know, poor guy.
She didn't even recognize you, huh?
She didn't know
I
it was
tan
me.
sitting in a hot
She
car.
didn't
I will get a
recognize
tan.
me.
I'm
Oh.
not gonna tell you what she said.
I
Well,
went
I'll tell you
to
what she
Europe.
said.
I
She was
spent
funny.
4 months on the beach.
Oh my gosh! She goes,
And
"You
I
look like
came
little-
back
little black
Timbo
Sambo
to America.
Oh,
And I'm standing
That's
4
my
feet
mom.
from my mom.
She just, I mean, I'm
calls
telling you,
it like it is.
I was,
I was
she was
tan.
funny.
My
You
mother's
know,
always
black.
funny.
But I
She-
look good.
My
black.
mom,
I look
she's-
good.
my eyes look
Literally,
like they're lighter
been dying
brown
for the
Oh,
last
yeah?
15
Skinnier.
months. You know, they told her
So
she was
I
gonna
like
live
that.
9 months. And
It's
then,
like
you know,
off
she's
the
like,
plane. I'm
she's
standing. I'm like,
having
Mom,
that,
Mom.
you know.
And she's 4
Right.
feet from me. And she's looking
been
around
really
like sick. And my sister's taking
didn't even
care of her.
recognize
And we
you,
were
huh?
talking
She
about
didn't know it
Jesus,
was
and I was
me.
telling her
She didn't
one
recognize
day with
me.
Jesus, and
I'm not going to tell you what she
praying that day.
did.
And I said, I don't know what I would do without Jesus.
Oh my
Mom.
gosh,
I don't
she
know
goes,
what
"Ooh,
I would
like
do.
little
She goes, what would you
Lambo."
do without Jesus? I said, I'd
Oh.
probably be in some ditch somewhere.
That's my
I
mom.
said, Mom, what would
She
you do
just
without Jesus?
calls it like
I
it
probably
is.
would have already killed your sister. She was funny. My mother's always funny. My
That's
mom.
my mom.
She's
She
literally
will say that
she's
been
always
dying
got that
for the last 15 months.
Yeah.
You know, they told
Calls
her she
it
was
the
going
way
to
she
live 9
sees it.
months.
And
No,
she,
those relationships too, when you're
having that,
taking care of somebody,
Right.
get
She's
very
been really
stressed.
sick,
And
and
your
that-
sister would
and my
probably say the
sister's
same
taking
thing
care
about
of
your
her, and we
mother
were
at that
talking about
time too.
Jesus,
Oh, I'm
and I was
sure.
telling her,
I mean, she
wonderful
has.
day
In
with
fact,
Jesus,
I've
and
talked to her when she
you
was
know,
like praying that
pulling her
day,
hair
or
out.
I don't know what I would do without
it's
Jesus' mom.
caregivers.
What I would do.
That's a special ministry.
What would you do without Jesus? I'd probably be in some ditch
just
somewhere.
To me, I
said, Mom,
I
what would
always
you do
loved
without
that
Jesus?
she was a straight
Because
shooter like that.
Already killed your
that's
sister.
probably why I like Trump so much.
I
my
make
mom.
jokes about my own.
She will say that
race,
she's
and people
always
get
got
too
that
serious about race.
Yeah.
Because of the way she sees
I was taking a
those
watermelon to
relationships, too,
my
when
neighbor
you're
because Gary brought
taking
home
care of
2
somebody,
watermelons.
get
How am I going
very
to eat
stressed.
2
You know,
watermelons?
your sister would probably
I
say
said,
the
okay,
same
well, I'm
thing
taking
about
to
your
the neighbor.
mother
I'm
at
like,
that time,
and
too.
oh, I'm sure. I mean, she has. I mean, in fact, I've talked to her when she was like miles, and I got her walking down the street with a watermelon in my hand. Yeah, it's caregivers.
I thought
that's
that
a
was
special
funny,
ministry.
right?
Yeah, and that,
But,
because that cliche is going to follow you.
I
made a
loved
joke
that she
about
was a
it
straight
to
shooter
one of
like
my
that.
liberal
You know,
friends,
like,
and she
that's
goes,
probably why I
but
like
Kathy,
Trump so much.
Just the fact that you had to think about that, I'm like,
it was a
jokes
joke.
about my
It was
own
meant to be
race, and people
get
too
serious
lighten
about
up,
race.
people.
You know, I'll say,
Lighten
I was
up.
taking a watermelon
a
to
good
my
friend of mine, she
neighbor
wrote a
because
book
Gary brought home
called
2
The
watermelons. How am I
Scapegoat.
going to eat 2
And
watermelons?
I had her on my
I
show.
said, okay, well, I'm taking
she
it to a
talks
neighbor.
about
Her
and every
growth in
I'm
her Christian walk, as well as
miles,
her racial walk, down the street with a watermelon
they did
in
the
my
busing thing when she was a big,
I
thought
that was
girl,
funny,
right?
they
and
bust in
because
these
that
white kids
cliche is going to follow
to her
you.
school.
Yeah, I made a
and
joke
she said
about
Jesus
it
basically
to one of
told
my
her to
liberal
make them
friends, and
feel
she goes,
welcome.
"Oh, but
You
Kathy,
know?
just the
And
fact that you
she's
had to
been
think
like
about that." I'm like,
Christian
it was a
forever,
joke.
like, more
It
so
was
than I
meant
ever
to
was
be.
when I was a young girl.
Come
Yeah.
on,
And
lighten
she
up,
writes about it in
people.
her book, and I was like,
Lighten
wow.
up.
So she's
She's
kind
kind
of like the
of mine.
person
She
I
wrote
want
a
to grow
book
up to
called,
be,
The
Scapegoat. And I had her on my show, and she talks about her growth.
People are taking themselves
in her
in
Christian
her
walk,
book,
as well as
in her book. She was talking
racial
about
walk,
the idolatry.
they did the busing thing when she was a
wow.
young girl.
It's very
interesting.
And they
bust in these white kids
I'll have
to
to
her
read that.
to her
Yeah,
school,
and she said that people
she
have
said
put
Jesus
that
basically told her to
race
make them
thing
feel
as like
welcome,
a new
you know?
God.
And she's been,
and they're thinking about that
Christian
more than
forever,
anything.
like more so than I
And
ever
it's
was
true.
when I was a young girl.
It's so true.
And she writes about it in her book, and I was like, wow, I felt
she's kind of like the person I want to grow up to be.
From liberals,
who kind of collect
spiritually,
black people,
because that is, I mean, serious.
They're like, oh, but
my
people
black
are
friend
taking
Kathy,
themselves
in her book, that was what I was
like,
getting.
oh yeah,
in her book, she was talking
I
about the
find out
idolatry
eventually
of
that
race.
they were liberals when they
and that
Oh,
showed
wow.
themselves.
Yeah,
you know what I
it's
mean,
very
interesting.
I write about it on
I'll
my
have
blog.
to read that.
Yeah, and she says
Because it's
people
something
have
that
put
really
that
affected
whole
my life, but
race thing
I've
as
grown
like
from
a
I
new
just don't.
God.
I found that
and they're thinking about that
the
more than
times
anything.
that I felt
And
the
it's true.
worst.
It's
or-
so true.
or
I'm
put in
here
a bad
to tell you,
place
there's
has been when
Well, look
one
at-
of these liberals
I
wants to
felt
be your friend
the
because they're
racism
collecting
has really
people,
been
you know,
from-
like they have
from
their gay
liberals
friend, and then they
who
have
kind
their
of
black
collect
friend,
black people,
and then
like
salt and pepper shakers. You know what I'm saying?
They're like,
It's-
oh, my black
it's
friend
a real
Kathy, my
thing.
black.
It really,
I'm like, oh yeah,
happens. And they don't
I
even know
find
they're
out
doing it. They just
eventually
think they're
that
being
they were liberals
open-minded
when they
and see how
show
colorblind I am.
themselves.
You know what I mean?
You know?
And
like,
I write about
don't
it on
make
my
me your
blog
project.
because
I
it's something
am
that
not
really
your
affected
project.
my life. But
You know,
I
I find that
it.
strange
I just don't-
myself because I never,
I
I
found
don't
that
think that way.
The
So-
times
you're
that conservative felt
I
the
just-
worst.
Conservatives
Just look at people.
or
think
put in a
that
bad
way.
place.
You know,
It's been when
Republicans, there's never
one of
been
these
a
liberals wants
Republican
to
that
be your
owned a
friend because they're
slave.
collecting people. You know, like they have their gay
Never.
friend, and then they have their black friend, and then they like salt and pepper shakers. You know what I'm saying?
No,
It's
I don't know.
it's-
I've
it's
never
a
really
real
researched
thing.
that.
It really
true.
happens.
I have
And
researched
they
this.
don't
My
even know they're
friend-
doing it.
my
They
friends
just
and
think
I-
they're being open-minded.
I'm
And see how colorblind
part of
I
a
am?
movement. We're trying to
You
get
know?
black people out of the
And like,
Democrat
don't
Party.
make me your
But yeah,
project.
Did Lincoln's family
I
not
am
have
not
any?
your project.
Mm-mm.
You
Yeah,
know,
no. I find that strange myself because I never, I don't think that
Especially
way.
in Texas because
So-
you're conservative.
I
No,
just-
and then
just
the
look at
Republican
people.
Party was started by
that way.
abolitionists.
You know,
the Republicans, there's never
the
been
first
a
black
Republican that owned a
senators
slave.
were all Republican black senators.
Right.
Never.
Yeah, that I did know. Yeah.
Yeah. The Democrats are behind on the times.
Well,
They
I don't
really
know.
are.
I never really researched
But
that.
most the black
It's
people who
true.
are coming
I
into
have
the
researched
Republican
it.
my friends and I are. I think
I'm
the cream of the crop of us
part of a movement
because they're
we're
coming
trying to
in
get black people
for
out of the
reasons that
Democrat
like
Party.
some people who might
But
have been
yeah,
raised Republican
Did
are
Lincoln's
different.
family not
But
have
they're
any?
coming in because they're finding
No.
that
No.
the Democrat Party doesn't represent what they believe,
Especially in Texas,
none.
or lifestyle
And then
wise.
the
It
Republican
doesn't
Party was started
represent
by
I
abolitionists.
posted a thing yesterday from this
The
this
first
pastor,
black
this
senators
pastor.
were all Republican
Whoa,
black
Right.
senators.
I'm Catholic,
Yeah,
so
that
we
I
don't
did
get
know,
that kind
yeah.
of preaching at
Yeah.
our church. It was a black
The
church.
Democrats are behind
was
on the
awesome.
He was like telling the
really
truth
are.
on people. You
But
know what I'm
most
saying?
the black people
it
who
a
are
fire
coming into the
brimstone?
Republican
Oh
Party.
yeah, I was like,
Are
wow,
how come we don't get that
I
in
think
my
it was
church,
cream of
you
the
know?
crop of us because they're
My church
coming
is
in
a row.
for reasons
You know,
that, like, some
but
people might have been
one
raised
time
Republican
Gary and
or
I went to
different,
this charismatic
but they're
Catholic
coming in
church.
because they're finding that
about it. It was downtown
the
San
Democratic
Diego.
Party doesn't represent
And,
what they believe.
We went in there and it was like a
biblically,
whole
or
different thing.
lifestyle
And people were
wise.
clapping.
It doesn't
and
represent
singing,
it.
and I was like,
I posted a
Gary's
thing
just
yesterday from
sure
this,
this is
this
Catholic.
pastor,
This
this
black
on the
pastor.
door. I don't know.
Whoa,
Just,
I'm Catholic, so we don't get that kind of preaching. I'm not into that movement, but it was really
awesome. He was like
it
telling
was exciting
the truth
to be
on
there.
people. You know
Well,
what
see,
I'm
and
saying?
I grew up Southern
Fire and
Baptist.
brimstone.
Oh
So,
yeah, I was like,
you know,
wow, how come we don't get that in my church? You know,
fire and brimstone preaching
My
is
church
what
is
I
the
grew
role,
up with.
you know.
So
But
yeah,
I,
there was a lot
one
of
time
singing.
Gary and I went to this charismatic Catholic
I
church.
love that
because I'd heard
I didn't
about
go
it. It was
to a
downtown San
predominantly
Diego.
black gospel church, but
we went in
you know,
there
the
and it was
Southern
a
Baptists,
whole
they were
different
very
thing, and
similar
people
whether
were
they were white or
clapping and
black.
singing, and I was like,
So
Gary's
you
just
know,
like,
that's what I
sure, this is
grew.
Catholic.
I did grow
It's
up
on
with
the
that.
door. I loved
it.
it. I mean, I'm
not
switching religions
I'm
or
not
anything.
into
I
that
just loved
movement, but
I loved it.
but
It was
everything
really
he said was
it was
truth.
exciting to be there.
Everything
Well,
that
see, and I
that
grew
man
up Southern
said
Baptist.
was the truth. I was like, oh
So,
my gosh,
you know,
this is
gospel
real.
and
I had to
and
share it,
the fire and brimstone
to my Catholic
preaching is
friends
what I
because
grew
it was like,
up with.
you guys
know,
have
so
to hear what this man
there was
has
a lot
to
of
say.
singing and
I think
stuff.
I love that.
I
So I
didn't
have
go
XM
to a
satellite radio in my
predominantly black
cars.
gospel church, but
And
the Southern Baptists.
I don't do it
they were
every day,
very
but I try to
similar
make it a
whether they were
practice.
white or black. So
On Sundays,
that's
you know,
what I grew. I did grow
the
up
Sabbath.
with that.
I loved it.
They
I
will
mean,
have
I'm not
religious
switching religions
stations,
or
and I'll
anything.
put
I
on
just
like
loved. I loved it.
I think it's called
Everything he said was
Enlighten.
the truth.
Um,
Everything
but it
that
is
that
a-
man said
It is a
was the truth. I was
gospel
like, oh my gosh,
Christian
this is real. I had to share
station,
it, you know,
and man, it's
to my
high
Catholic friends
energy
because it was like,
gospel
you guys have to hear what this man
Christian
has to
music,
say.
and I love
think,
listening to gospel music.
So I have
love it
XM
too.
satellite radio
I really
in my
miss
cars.
that. I mean, that
And
when I lived
I
in
don't do it
California
every day,
in
but
our
I try
little
to
town
make
with
it a
all the
practice,
churches, we had
on
this
Sundays, you know,
one
when
thing
I'm-
that we
when I'm-
did one
the
year.
Sabbath.
I don't know if they've done it before,
they will
but I
have
was thinking it would be awesome if we
religious
did it here
stations,
too.
and I'll put on like
one
the
thing that we
think
did
it's
that
called
I thought was
Enlighten.
really helpful for me to
but it
open
is
my
a-
heart to people.
it is a gospel
We had
Christian
traveling choirs.
station.
Oh,
and man,
wow.
it's
Yeah,
high
our choir
energy
would go to
gospel
this church and they would rotate to
Christian
the different
music,
churches.
and I love
Christian
listening to
churches.
the gospel
And
music.
it was like,
I love it
oh my gosh,
too.
and I felt
really
so
miss
sorry
that. I
for
mean,
the people that got our choir because when I lived in
terrible.
California in our little
Oh
town with
yeah,
all the
I can remember
churches,
that. We would have because you
we
would
had
put people
we
up
had this one thing
in
that
your
we
home
did
to stay.
one year.
You know, the choir
I don't
members
know if they've
wherever
done
they
it
came
before,
from.
but I was
So-
thinking,
I
it would
loved
be
it,
awesome
and
if
I
we
thought
did it
that
here
was
too.
that
was
helped
one thing
our
that we
community
did that I
at the
thought was
time.
really
That
helpful
did
for me.
I was thinking, wow, I
to
wish I could
open my
start
heart to
that
people,
here.
you know.
And then we
was
did this Lamb
we
Supper,
had traveling play
choirs.
that a friend of
So-
mine
Oh,
put
wow.
on.
Yeah, our
And
choir would
Lamb
go
Supper
to this
play.
church and they would
They
rotate
do the
to
Last
different
Supper.
churches.
It's a whole
Christian.
churches.
Yeah.
And
a theater
and
type
it
of
was like,
thing.
oh my
And
gosh,
somebody
and I
from
felt
different
so
churches
sorry for
played the
people that
different
got our
apostles.
choir because our choir was
And they
terrible.
all have like a mono, like a
Oh yeah, I
soliloquy
can
or
remember
whatever
that. We
is,
would
monologue
have
or whatever.
because you would put
And it
people
was
up
so
in your
cool. I
home
was
to
like,
stay.
this is-
You know, the
this is
choir members
awesome. It was
wherever
so
they
cool
came
'cause,
from.
you know,
So
all the
I
apostles,
loved
you know,
it, and I thought that was
eventually,
that
Yeah.
helped
one
our
was a
community
zealot,
at
and
the
this one
time.
was-
That
it
really
tell
did.
you a little
And I was
bit of the
thinking, wow,
story
I wish I
of
could
each
start
of these
that
apostles.
here.
And then we
And then
did
it would
this
tell you
Lamb
how they
Supper
eventually
wow.
play
That I've never
a friend of
experienced.
mine put on.
But we also
And
had
the
lots.
Lamb
We also
Supper
had lots of
play,
revivals.
They
when
do
I
the
was
Last
growing up.
Supper. It's a
Those are
whole,
cool. I've seen those on TV. It's
So
a theater
your
type of
church
thing.
would hold a revival, and it
somebody
was
from
almost kind of
different
like the
churches
traveling
play the
choirs,
different apostles.
because you would hold a revival,
And
and
they
all
all
other
have
churches
like a monologue,
would
like
come to
a
yours,
soliloquy
and
or
then you would
whatever
go to
that is, a
theirs,
monologue or whatever.
and
And
it
it was
was
so
healthy.
cool.
You
I
don't
was like,
see
this is-
revivals as much.
This is awesome. It was
So
so
you
cool.
used
You're
to-
gonna
see
all
it
the
soon,
apostles,
though.
you know,
I think
died
the
eventually. But
birth of
Yeah.
that is going to
This one
come
was the zealots,
after
and
this
this one
COVID
was-
thing.
It would tell you a little bit of the story
people,
of
like I
each of
said,
these apostles.
I
And then it would
predicted
tell
a
you
lot
how
of
they
this stuff. I'm
eventually
not a
are.
prophecy person.
That
I
I've
can just
never
feel the pulse
experienced.
of things going
But
on.
we also had lots.
And
We
I
also had
can
lots of
tell you,
revivals when I was
The
growing up.
minute they start to
those are
shut
cool.
things
I've seen those on
down
TV.
in the
So
country,
your church
said,
would hold a
"Oh,
revival,
boy,
and it was
the
almost
enemy
kind of
has
like the traveling
waited for this
choirs,
opportunity
because you would hold a revival, and
You
the
know,
other
to
churches
get
would
Americans
come
while
to
they're
yours, and
down.
then you would go
you
to
know?
theirs, and
And so
And
that
you
that's
don't-
George Floyd
You don't
thing.
see
I'm
revivals
going to
as
talk about that
much
with my nephew. He knew him.
as you used
You're
to.
going to see it
That
soon,
whole
though.
George
I think
Floyd
the
thing,
birth
he
of
was
that
just
is
an
going to come
opportunity
after
for
this
them.
COVID thing.
They don't
Because,
care about
you know,
him.
people,
Like
if
I
you
said,
read that page, I predicted a lot of this stuff. I'm not a prophecy
rioting
person.
because
I
of
can
that
just feel the
guy.
pulse of
He's just a
things going
distant
on.
memory right now.
And I can tell
they're
you,
just
they're destroying
the minute
so
they start
much
to shut things
and
down. forgive them, Lord, 'cause they know not what they do.
Oh boy, the enemy is like waiting for this opportunity,
doing a lot of damage, but they're going to
Right.
eventually
to get Americans while they're down.
The fruit of that is not going to
Yeah.
be good
And
for
so
them.
Oh, yeah.
That whole George
Yeah.
Floyd
They're not gonna be good for
thing,
them at all.
I'm
They
going to
think
talk about
that
that with my next without any penalty whatsoever, but
they
that
don't
whole
realize there's
George
other
Floyd
things besides
thing,
prison.
he
They're
was
going to
just an
destroy the whole
opportunity for them.
community.
Yes,
And
they
then
don't want
life
the
is going to
community
be
to come home.
miserable.
If you read that page,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and nobody's
They
going to
didn't-
want them in their
they're not
community.
rioting because of that.
I saw
guys.
such
He's just
brutality.
a
I was
distant
told
memory right now.
I didn't know people could
And they're
be
just
so
destroying
cold-hearted that
so
they
much,
could just be
and
that
they-
brutal towards
forgive them, Lord,
one
'cause they know not
another.
what they do.
But I saw something
really
yesterday
doing a lot of damage, but
online,
they're
and they
gonna
showed a little bit of
eventually
it
reap
on Fox
the
last night, but they couldn't
problems,
show
the
the whole
fruit of
thing
that
because
is
it's not
just
going to be good
so
for them.
Oh,
brutal.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not going to be good for them at all. They think
gonna
it's hard
destroy-
to do things
You know
without
what?
any
I
penalty
bet you two
whatsoever, but
things
they
they
don't
don't
realize
realize
that
there's
other
other
things
things
on the
besides
streets
prison.
doing all this.
They're going to destroy
crime
the whole
and stuff.
community. Well, we've been
Yes.
sheltered
And
in,
there
and
won't
life
be a
is going to be
community. We've been
miserable.
very
I mean,
sheltered.
when you read
And
about
nobody's gonna
other
want them in
countries
their
and
community.
these fascist
I saw
leaders
such
and
brutality.
these
I was told
dictators, and
I didn't know
that
people
some of the
could be so
genocides and
cold-hearted
things that
that
have
they
gone
could
on
just
in other
be that
countries.
brutal towards
I mean,
one another.
people are very brutal.
But I saw something
Very-
yesterday
we just haven't
online,
seen
and they
it
showed a little
in
bit of it
America.
on Fox
We're
last night, but they
spoiled.
couldn't show the whole
And
thing because it
very
was just
spoiled,
so
and we don't
brutal.
know it.
And
Yes.
that's
you
why
think,
people
wow,
are
what
rioting
kind of
because they
heart.
don't realize how spoiled
You know what?
they are. They
I bet
do
you two
not
things
even
about the
realize
people
how
that we're seeing
spoiled
on the
they
streets
are.
doing all this.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
crime and
if they
stuff.
lived in
Well, we've been sheltered in America.
countries that
We've
have
been very sheltered.
dictators, when
and
you read
stuff
about
like,
other countries,
those
and these,
regimes,
fascist
it would be a
leaders
whole
and,
different-
these dictators, and
They'd have a whole
some
different
of the
perspective.
genocides
What do you
and things
think
that have
about
gone
the-
on in other
okay, I mean,
countries.
I don't mean to be
I
too
mean,
controversial, but what do you think
people
about?
are very
I want
brutal.
the borders
we
closed
just
and
haven't
sealed.
seen it. In
I want
America.
that happen.
We're spoiled.
But I
And
get
we're very
blowback from people,
spoiled,
going,
and we
"Well,
don't know
but
it."
We really count
Yes.
on,
And that's why
the
people are
coming
rioting,
over
because
the
they don't
border
realize how
to
spoiled
pick
they
the
are.
fruit
They do
and
not even
stuff in
realize how
agriculture. I'm
spoiled
like,
they
okay,
are.
let me
Yeah.
put
I
think
mean,
about
if
this.
they lived in
Looks like those
countries
kids up
that
in
have
Oregon and
dictators
Seattle, or
and
whatever,
stuff like,
they have a lot of
you know,
energy. Let's
those
have them go
regimes,
pick the oranges.
it would be a whole different.
Give them something useful to do.
They'd have a whole different perspective. You know,
What do you think about?
I believe there's
I don't mean to be too controversial, but what do you
I think there's a happy
about?
medium
I want
in there
the borders
somewhere.
closed and sealed.
I'm going to use the word
I want
controlled.
that happen, and but I
So,
get
not
blowback from
completely
people going,
closed
"Well,
and,
but we
and
really
sealed
count
off
on the
where
people
nothing
coming
can
over the
get through.
border
No,
to
but
pick
it's-
the
control
fruit
is a
and
good word.
stuff in
it's gotta be-
agriculture." I'm
it's
like,
gotta be
okay,
controlled.
Let me think about
Um,
this.
But in order to
Looks like those
to
kids
do that
up in
control,
Oregon and
you know, we've
Seattle,
got to
or
make
whatever,
sure we've got
they
the
have a lot of energy.
resources
Let's have
on
them go
our
pick
side
the
of the
oranges.
fence to
Give them something
to
useful
manage
to
what
do.
we do let through.
You know,
I believe there's
that's not the only border. The other borders are controlled.
I think there's a happy
We need
medium
to
in there
control
somewhere.
this one too, though, because a lot of
I'm
child
gonna use the word
trafficking is
controlled.
happening
Mhm.
at our borders.
So not completely
And-
closed
and
and
nobody's
sealed
answering
off
for it. The
where
Democratic
nothing
Party was
can
on
get
last night.
through.
They didn't
No,
even
but
speak
control
on
is a good
But
word.
it's got to be
and it's
got to
real
be
thing.
controlled.
You know that one place I said 400.
But in order to do that
were
control,
missing in America last
you know,
year.
we've got to make sure we've got
And
the
another place that
resources
said
on
800. I'm
our
like, I
side
don't
of
think
the
800, but
fence
I would probably go with the 400
to manage what we do.
That's
let
what
through.
that's trafficking.
And-
and we have.
I
That's
have a
not
friend
the
who
only
actually
border.
works
The
for
other
ICE,
borders
and she
are
says, "Kathy,
controlled.
they've
Yeah.
Doing
We need to
DNA
control
testing
this
with these
one
kids
too,
for
though.
years.
There's a lot of
not
child
just last
trafficking
week,
is
years.
happening.
Yeah.
And she goes,
At our-
many
at our
of these
borders.
children
And
Dems
and
complain
nobody's
about
answering
their
for it. The
DNA
Democratic
does not
Party was on
match
last night. They
the
didn't
people
even
who claim to
speak
be their
on
parents.
trafficking.
And I can
It's
testify
real
to that.
thing. Do you know that
Um,
one place I
I've
said
just
450,000
Recently,
children were
went on
missing in America last year?
unfortunately,
And
was
another
a
place that said
domestic
800. I'm like,
violence
I don't
call.
think 800, but
Oh.
I would probably go with the
And
450. That was
the husband
that's what
was in
that's
his late
trafficking.
40s.
And
Mhm.
I have a friend who
The
actually
wife
works
was
for ICE, and she says,
22.
Kathy, they've been
Mm.
doing DNA testing with these
And
kids
they had
for
2
years,
children
not just last
that
week.
had different
years.
last
And
names.
she goes, many of these
And
children
mother
that
did
the
not know
Dems
their
complain about,
birthdays.
their DNA
That's
does not match
And
the people who claim to be their
so
parents.
you got, and I can
He was
testify to
there,
that.
but it,
You know,
I
working out the
just-
situation. So you just recently went
just
on a,
makes you wonder, okay,
unfortunately, was
is
a
this
domestic violence
one of
call.
those trafficking
Oh.
incidents
And,
that you stumbled across
the
it?
husband
Or is
was in
this
his
one of
late
those
40s.
border
The
issues
wife was
where
22.
they've brought anchored children with them, or
And they
these
had
children
two
have shown
children.
up that had
unaccompanied
different last
and
names.
they've managed to find
And
a
mother
distant
did not know
relative
their
or somebody in the
birthdays.
United States to take
That's
them
weird,
in.
Mom.
And, you know, and it was
So
just,
you got,
that was the first time I'd
Edie
ever
was there,
come
but
across that
working out the
situation. You
So
hear
you
about
just-
it.
It just
Um,
makes you
but
wonder,
just-
okay,
It was just
is
weird.
this,
You know, seeing
there's-
one of
seeing that
those
happens right under your
trafficking
nose,
incidents
and
that
is-
you've
is what I'm
stumbled across
finding,
it,
and
or
it's
is this
hard
one
to
of those
study, but it happens right
border
under your nose.
issues
And I think
where
back, and I was thinking,
they've
gosh,
brought
I remember
anchored
this
children
one
with
lady
them, or
in my
these children
neighborhood
have
that I
shown
went
up
to visit.
unaccompanied,
And
and
now I
they've
look
managed
back
to
at it,
find a distant
plain as-
relative
you know,
or somebody in
plain
the
as day to me
United
now, but I'm
States to
thinking,
take them
gosh, that
in.
girl that worked for
You know,
her,
and
that
it was
cleaned
it
for
was just
her, was really
that was the
young.
first time I'd ever come across
And I
that
thought that was
situation.
odd. I'm like,
You
she
know, you
didn't
hear
look like
about
she was
it.
more than 12.
But just
And how
it was
does
just
she
it was just
have a
weird,
job
you know,
cleaning
seeing
and taking care
seeing
of the
that
children
It's right
at
under your
12?
nose,
And
Yeah.
is what I'm finding.
and
it's
I
hard
wasn't
to
thinking
study,
about it
but
because I didn't even
it
know
happens right
much
under your
about
nose.
the
And
whole
I think
issue
back,
of
and I was thinking,
trafficking
gosh,
back
I
then. I was
remember
raising
this
my
one
own kids,
lady
you know.
in
But
my
it
neighborhood.
was
And
just
I went to visit.
glaring.
There was
Now
like-
I look
and
back. I'm like,
now I
that's
look back
like
at it
slavery.
plain as
oh
you know,
god, yeah.
plain as day
You
to
know,
me
and
now.
that's
But I'm
happening.
thinking,
And
gosh,
slavery
that girl
still
that
happening
worked
big
for
time
her,
in
that
Africa
cleaned
right
for
now.
her,
So
was really young.
Unfortunately, it's
Yeah.
not even necessarily
And
work
I
based. It's
thought
more
that
of a
was
sexual
odd. I'm like,
based.
she didn't look
Yeah.
like she was more than
Yeah,
12.
well,
That's even
that's
more
the thing.
tragic.
And how
Well,
does
that's
she
what I
have a
think this
job
COVID thing is
cleaning and
covering
taking
up.
care of children?
We should be
at
into
12?
that Epstein Island
Yeah.
thing all over the place. We should
And
have
I
figured
wasn't
that out.
thinking about
ABC
it 'cause I didn't
News
even know
kept that
much
story
about
for
the whole
3
issue of
years.
trafficking
3 years
back then. I
they
was
shut
raising my
that
own
story
kids, you know?
down, and the girl who
But
said
it was just,
she now has a real cushy job at
glaring
ABC News.
news.
Now I
She's
look
the
back
only
and
one
I
I
see
see
on
like
ABC
slavery.
Huh.
because she
Oh,
walks
God,
back her
yeah.
story, you know, and
But
that's
they showed it
happening.
all
And
the
slavery's
channels
still
where she
happening
said,
big
"Oh, I
time
had
in
all the
Africa right
information on
now.
Epstein
So,
Island."
and she
That-
had
And
that's
unfortunately, it's not
documentation
even
and all
necessarily
sorts of
work
things of the
based.
flight
It's more of a
records and
sexual based.
everything.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
now
well,
she's got a
that's even
cushy
more
job at
tragic.
ABC.
Well, that's what I think this COVID
Imagine
thing is
that.
covering up.
Yeah,
We should
they
be
knew
into
that, but guess
Epstein
what?
Island
For 3
thing
years,
all
she
over
had
the
all
place.
of
We
that
should have
information, and they wouldn't let
figured
her
that
run
out.
the
ABC
story.
News
And,
kept that story for 3
because
years.
3 years ago,
3
at that
years,
time,
they shut that
Hillary
story
Clinton
down.
was
And
running
the girl
for
who said
president.
it,
Oh,
she now
yeah.
has a real
And,
cushy
you
job
know,
at ABC News.
what
She's the
portrait
only
did
one I
you
see on
see
ABC now.
of Bill Clinton in that blue
Because she walks
dress?
back her
Yeah,
story.
right.
But they showed it on all the
Exactly.
channels where she said,
So
"Oh, I had all the
that's why I
information
do
on
a lot of
Epstein
my
Island,"
own research.
And she had
you know, I
documentation.
I don't take the
and all
first
sorts
thing
of
that
things
pops
of
up
the
on
flight
Google
records and
I dug
everything.
deep.
And
You know,
now
because
she's got
there
a cushy
are
job
so
at
many
ABC.
other avenues, but
Imagine
there's a
that.
lot going on in this country.
But they
and
knew
this
that. But guess
shutdown
what? For
is
3
making
years, she
it
had all
easier
of that
for people
information,
to
and they wouldn't let her
market
run the story.
children and human beings.
Because
Because 3
Oh,
years
yeah.
ago,
somebody
at that
can't
time,
say, "Help
Hillary
me."
Clinton was running for
You know?
president.
Oh,
They,
yeah.
they cannot
And,
say
you
help
know,
me because of their
what
math.
portrait did you
And
see?
children
of,
Bill
you know,
Clinton in that
everybody's
blue
in their house?
dress.
But
Yeah,
there's some
right.
people I didn't know.
Exactly.
I didn't want to
So
know these kind of people.
That's why I do a lot of my own research.
I didn't want to
you know,
know that.
Well, and I'm
I
pretty
don't take the
sure
first thing that
you
pops
know,
up on Google.
that
I
there wasn't any
I
kind
dug
of
deep.
You know, because
trafficking
there
going on
are
with the
so
kids.
many
But it
other
just made you
avenues.
think that
But
because of just the way
there's a
the
lot going on in
situation.
this country.
Yeah.
But
and
just
this
looking at the way
shutdown
they
is
interacted
making it
and
easier
stuff,
for people to
um,
market children.
you know, I'm
and
pretty
human
sure that
beings.
You got a
wasn't
feeling
the case.
Oh
but-
yeah.
Somebody
you got
can't
a
say
feeling
help
here
me
in your gut,
You know,
it's usually God
they
telling you.
cannot say help me because of their math.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
children.
Well,
are-
like I say, I
everybody's in
didn't
their
have
house.
that feeling.
But there's some
You
sick
know, it
people.
was just.
I didn't know.
It was
I
just
didn't
like,
want to know these kind of people existed. To
this
be
is
honest,
this is
I didn't
different.
want to know
you
that.
Well, and I'm pretty
Something's
sure.
odd.
You know,
You got 4 people
that
in the
there wasn't
house
any
that
kind of
have different
trafficking going
names
on
and-
with the kids,
and
but it just made you
ages and,
think that because of just the way the
It
situation.
was just
Yeah,
But
just
just looking
different.
at the way they
So-
interacted and
but
stuff,
I bet you your
um,
feelings were right though.
you know,
I'll
I'm pretty
bet
sure
you
that
got a
wasn't,
feeling.
wasn't
It's,
the
you,
case.
don't, you can't.
If you
go
got
and
a
accuse
feeling
people 'cause
here
then
in your gut,
you don't know what to
it's
do.
usually God
Yeah.
telling you.
What I'm learning though through these
Yeah,
classes that we take at
yeah.
you know,
Well,
because the
like I
church
say,
makes-
I didn't
'cause I'm in
have
a
that
ministry.
feeling.
We have to
You know,
every
it was
3
just-
years we have to take this
it was just like,
class to help
this
us
is
discern
different,
if we
you know?
suspect any abuse
Something's
anywhere.
odd.
You
This
got
has
4
been
people in the
every 3
house
years
that
since 1997. I've
have
been
different
in
names
ministry, but
and
the
ages.
church
and,
makes you do that because this
um,
was an answer to all
it
the
was
scandals
just-
that were happening in the
different.
Catholic Church. You know,
So,
But
so I bet you your
so
feelings were
basically,
right though.
we go through this. We have to watch
I'll
a movie
bet you
about people who did
It's,
this
you,
and
don't,
the
you can't
victims, and then
go and
we
accuse people because then
we're told,
you don't know what to do.
Go,
but
Yeah.
don't go to
what
the
I'm learning
priest,
though,
you go to
through
the
the
classes that we
police,
take
if you
at because
anything.
the church makes, because I'm in a ministry,
You go straight.
We have to every
to
3
the
years we have to take
authorities.
this class,
And you get the information
to help us.
It's a very
discern
hard
if we
course to
suspect
take.
any abuse
anywhere.
anywhere.
This has been
It's just to
every
make
3
people
years. Since
aware
1997, I've
of
been in
signs
of abuse.
The church makes you do that
in children and the elderly.
to all the scandals that were
those are
happening.
the
Oh,
most
we go
Catholic
through,
church,
yeah,
you know.
we have to go through
So
our continuing
so they
education
basically
classes. We
we
have
go through this. We have to watch
those
a
courses
movie about
all the
people
time.
who
Every
did this
year
and
we
the
have
victims,
refreshers
and then
on how
we're
to
very
look-
uncomfortable. We
look
don't
for
go.
different things.
You don't go
And,
to the priest.
And there's
you go
and
to
kids
the
are-
police if you suspect
kids are-
anything. You go
I
straight
for
to
me,
the
everything in me
authorities,
wants to protect the
and
child.
you get the information.
Period.
It's a very
You
hard
protect
course
children.
to take, you know.
And that's why I'm
it's a whole
pro-life.
day, and,
You know, I'm like,
it's just to
that's
make
what
people
that's what
aware
you do.
of
For me,
signs
pro-life
of
means
abuse, not
Yeah.
just in
in
children
my
and
womb,
the
I want
elderly.
all children
I mean,
protected.
those are the most.
Oh, we
you
go
know,
through, yeah,
my
we have to go
your
through
womb shouldn't
our
become the
continuing
tomb.
education classes.
Oh,
We have
right. Yeah.
You
those
know,
courses
this
all
is
the time.
that
Every year we
everything
have
you're supposed to-
refreshers on
Where
how
where
to
did
look,
the disconnect happen in
look
our
for
hearts
different
that
things.
your
you
mother
know.
doesn't want to
And there's-
automatically
kids
just
are-
protect that child with her
Kids are-
life?
Yeah.
I know, for me, everything in me
Yeah.
wants to
I mean,
protect the
get,
child.
I get it
Period.
can be stressful,
That's it.
but
You
yeah,
protect
I
children.
don't, you're right.
And
I don't
that's
see
why
where
I'm
that,
pro-life. You know, I'm
that
like,
interconnection,
that's what
where that
that's what you
disconnect
do.
is.
If
For me,
you're-
pro-life
that's what's
means
happening. That's what I see.
not
and
just
in my womb. I
I've
want
talked
all
to people-
children
I have-
protected.
I've worked in the pro-life
my
movement,
your
and
womb
not as
shouldn't
much as my
become
friend
the
Jackie,
tomb.
but
That
Yeah.
I
Oh,
couldn't do
right.
what she does.
You
I mean,
know,
I would be
this is-
crying all the time.
everything
She-
you're
she
supposed
goes
to.
in
Where
where did the
Planned
disconnect
Parenthood
happen
and
in
prays
our
with
hearts
people
that
and
your mother doesn't want to
basically begs these
automatically
girls
just
not to
protect
have
that child with
an
her
abortion,
life? You know.
Yeah.
I said,
You know?
Jackie, I would just be a ball of
Yeah.
tears.
I mean,
That's
get-
useless.
I get it can be
I'd be
stressful,
like,
but yeah.
No,
I don't,
seriously. I mean,
you're
just
right. I don't
finding
see where
out
that,
that somebody
that
has
interconnection, where that
gone through that.
disconnect
I'm
is.
thinking, oh my gosh, I
Th-
hope they
there
know
is-
that
that's
God
what's
is
happening. That's
merciful.
what I
But
see,
also,
and I want them to know.
I've talked
that
to people. I have
if
they're
I've worked in the
thinking
pro-life
about it. There are a
movement,
whole
and
bunch of
not as
other
much as my
things you
friend
could
Jackie.
do. There are
but
people who
but
want
I
children.
couldn't do what she
You
does. I mean,
know,
I would be
there's a
crying
whole bunch
all
of
the time.
things.
One
You
time
know,
I was at a
she
store and
goes
this
in
girl
front of the
told me
Planned
about
Parenthood.
It was weird. She
Prays
told me
with
about her
people and
impending. She was
basically
thinking about
begs
having an
these
abortion.
girls not to have.
And she told me about her
an
abusive
abortion,
boyfriend and
you
all
know.
this. And I was
Yeah.
telling her,
I said,
you don't have
Jackie,
to
I
do
would
that.
just
If
be a
you're
ball of
scared of your
tears. I
boyfriend,
would be
get
useless.
on a bus.
I'd be like,
and go somewhere.
No, seriously.
You know,
I mean, just
get-
finding
Get
out
away
that
from him
somebody
and go have your
has
child.
gone through that. And I'm
Right.
thinking, oh my gosh, I hope they
Because,
know
I mean,
that God
one
is
child is worth
merciful.
10 of the
But
mother or the
also, I
father.
want them to know that
So
if they're
go
thinking
have your
about
child.
it,
And then I ran
there are a
into
whole
her
bunch
about
of other
a year
things
later
you can
at
do. There
another
are people who
store.
want
And she goes-
children.
and she came and
You
hugged me, and
know,
I didn't
there's a whole
recognize
bunch
her
of things.
face.
You
One
know,
time I
'cause
was
her
at a
hair was
store and this
different.
girl told
She
me
goes, I
about.
had my baby.
It was weird. She told me about her
And I'm like,
impending.
you did.
She
She
was
had her
thinking
baby,
about
and I
having an
recognized her. And I'm like,
And she told me about her
we
abusive
hugged. I was like,
boyfriend and all
yeah,
this.
I'm so
And
glad
I
you
was
had
telling
your
her,
baby.
because I told her, I'm going to go home
for home.
scared of your
you
boyfriend.
and your
Get on a
baby.
bus.
Was she able to get
and
out of
go
that situation as well?
You know,
he was
get-
in jail.
Get away from him and go have your
He
child.
went off to jail for
Right.
whatever reason. She didn't tell me all
Because,
that.
I mean, one
But she
child's
goes,
worth
I
10
said,
of
are
the
you
mother or the
safe? You
father.
know, she goes, oh, I'm safe. He's in jail.
So,
Like, okay.
go have your
Yay.
child. And then I ran into her about a year later
Yeah,
at another
cool.
store.
I'm going to have to
she came
let
and
you
hugged me, and I
go.
didn't
But
recognize her
I'm
face,
so
you know,
thankful
'cause
that
her
you
hair was
came on my
different.
show today,
She
and
goes,
we'll
I
have to
had
do
my
it again.
baby.
And if you
Yes.
I'm like,
you
you
think,
did. She had
it
her
would
baby, and I
help Lago
recognized her.
Vista
I'm like,
to
oh, we
have,
hugged.
like,
I was
we
like,
could do.
yeah, I'm so glad
I don't know
you
how
had
many
your
windows
baby.
they
'Cause I
allow
told
you
her,
to
I'm gonna go home
have,
and pray home.
but
Pray
I
for
have
you
the
and
having an
your
account,
baby.
so I could do
Was she
that.
able
You
to
know?
get out of that situation as well?
We
He's
could
in-
do
he
a
was in jail
meeting, and what we
So,
should do is
he went off to jail
is
for whatever
alert
reason.
people
She didn't
in
tell me
Lago
all that.
Vista that
But
this
she
is
goes,
happening.
I
Or
said,
do
are
you
you
wanna,
safe?
You
You
know,
know,
know
she goes,
your
oh, I'm safe. He's in
candidate.
jail.
And
Like,
I
okay.
won't talk so much. I'll let you guys talk.
Well, and I'm not on the
I'm gonna
ballot
have
this
to
year.
let you
I'm not
go,
up for re-election
But
until
I'm
next
so
year.
thankful that you came on my
waiting
show
for you.
But
today.
yeah, that
and we'll
would
have to
probably
do it
be,
again.
especially
And if
say
you
like
think-
if you did it
if
by
you
place,
think,
like you have the
it would
three
help
guests that are
Lago
running for
Vista
place 2 and the
to
2 that are
have,
running
Like, we we could do.
place 4.
I don't know
and
how
the 2
many
that are
windows
running
they
for
allow you to
place
have,
6.
but I have an account,
You know,
so I could
and,
do that.
and do
you
it
know?
at 3 different
But,
sessions.
we could do a meeting.
You know, that would probably be
and what we
real
should do
efficient.
is
Don't wanna
alert
get
people in Lago Vista
that way.
this is
You've got
happening, or do you want to
opponents going
know
at,
your candidate?
sharing their
And
side.
I won't
and you're
talk so
not
much. I'll
getting
let
somebody
you
from
guys talk.
place 2 speaking
well, and
out
I'm not.
against somebody
I'm not on the
place
ballot this year.
6 that
I'm
they're not
up
even
for
running
re-election until
against,
next
you
year.
know.
So,
I gotta get all the
but yeah, that would
names.
probably be, especially
And
say like if you did it by
contact
place,
them,
like you have
and
the
I'd be
3
happy to
guests
do
that are
that
running
for
for
my
place
city.
2 and the 2 that are running.
You know,
for place 4 and the
That'd
2
be
that are running for
wonderful.
place
Because
6.
people want to know, and people
Um,
need to know.
You know,
Because
well,
we're all
and
gonna
do
be
it at 3
voting,
different
and, you know, we are
sessions.
voting people, especially out
You
here.
know, that would probably
Well,
be
the deadline
real
ended
efficient.
yesterday, so it's all
Don't want
public
to get
knowledge now, and
that way.
I'll
You've got
send you the
opponents
names.
going it, you know,
Please.
and sharing their side, and you're not getting
I don't have
somebody
their
from
contact information.
place
If you
2
do,
speaking
I can
out
find
against
that.
somebody that
Yeah.
place
If nothing else, you can
6
always get
that
it
they're
from
not
the
even
city
running
secretary,
against.
so.
You know,
Oh, there
so
you go.
I got to
Because
get all this names.
research is my thing.
And,
so,
and
you know,
contact
I love,
them.
and I'd be
Once I
happy
get
to do that
a
for
hold
my
of something
city, and I need to research
you
it.
know?
I'm going to research the heck out of
That'd
it.
be wonderful. Because
You
people
know,
want to
that's
know,
why I
and
did
people
debate,
need
because
to
that
know.
was
Because
Well,
we're
they-
not going to
the
be
preparation
voting,
was,
you know, we are voting
most of the
people,
fun.
especially out
You know,
here.
you have to be. Oh,
well,
I
the
miss
deadline
it. I
ended
wanna do a
yesterday, so
debate.
it's all public knowledge
I mean,
now, and
I really, I
I'll
miss
send you
that.
the names.
Because it's
Please.
civilized.
And
It's not
I
arguing
don't
with
have their
people.
contact
You know,
information.
it's
If you do,
civilized.
I can
They-
find that.
And
Yeah.
there's
if
rules.
nothing else,
and
you can
there's
always get it
time
from the city
periods, and there's
secretary. So
Oh, there you go.
I like
because I
so-
like the structure.
Research is my thing.
And
And
you,
that's why I
you
don't
know,
like
I
arguing
love
with people. I'm like, you really
once I
wanna
get
go there
a hold of
with me,
something
really?
and I need to
Because if you
research
wanna
it, I'm
argue
going to
with
research
me,
the heck
I
out of
will
it.
slay
Because,
you.
you know, that's why I
will.
did debate, because that
They
was
have no idea what's coming.
the
And
preparation
my
was
daughter.
most of the fun.
I have,
you know, you
both
have
my
to
daughters
be,
like to debate.
I miss
But
it.
the
I
thing
want to
is,
do a
my
debate.
daughter, she's like, I mean,
You
thinking,
always win,
I
don't
really,
you?
I miss
Yeah.
that. Because it's
I do.
civilized. Because
It's
I
not,
have skills you don't even
arguing
know
with people.
about. They think
You
that
know,
mommy's
it's
just this
civilized.
person that cooks
And-
for
and-
them,
and there's
you know,
rules, and
washes their
there's
clothes.
time periods,
That
and there's
my daughter gets so
it's-
mad when
I
she
like
wants to argue
I like
on
the
something,
structure.
even political. She knows
you
don't even
that's
go
why I don't
there
like
because
arguing
I
with
got
people.
you
I'm like,
here.
you really want to go there with me, really?
Whip out because if you want to
I'm like
argue
a
with me,
gunslinger, you know.
I will slay you.
and it's good. It's I
will.
appreciate my children
They
all
have
being
no
in their
idea what's
20s
coming.
now,
And my
because we can
my
carry on
daughter,
different conversations
both
than
my
when
daughters
they
like
were
to
at
debate,
home. You know,
but the
'cause
thing is,
but
my
the
daughter,
thing is,
she's like,
didn't affect them back
you
then.
always win, don't you?
Is
Go,
the
yeah.
problem with me?
I
and
do.
It's my problem.
Because I have
it's not
skills
their problem.
you don't even know
The problem
about.
is with
They
me
think that
is
mommy's just
because
this
I come
person
from
that cooks
for them and
solid history,
washes
in
their clothes.
debate.
But
My
the
daughter
problem
gets
with
so
me
mad
is
when she
I
wants to
have
argue
to
on something,
win.
even political. She
You
knows,
see?
don't
And then
even
when
go
you
there
have to
because I
win,
got you
if
here.
that's
Because
in your head,
then somebody
I will
loses.
whip out.
And
I'm like
so
a gunslinger.
I
You
have
know,
to decide:
Yeah.
is this worth?
And
Is
it's
this my
good.
battle?
I
Is
appreciate my
this
children
worth
all
falling
being in
on my
their
sword?
20s
You know,
now,
really,
because
is
we
this
can carry
worth?
on
Because
different conversations
I go
than
into
when they
win
were at
mode.
home. You know, 'cause
you know.
Yeah, but the
They-
thing is,
And that's
Didn't
where I
affect
go.
them back
It's
then.
not.
the
It's not
difference,
about
though,
right or
is
wrong
that
anymore.
the problem
I will
with
win.
me,
You know, it's my problem.
and that's
Really, it's not their
different.
problem.
And so
The problem is
with
with
me
to
is divorce
because I
myself
come
from
from
that history.
a solid
So
history.
that's why I
in
don't even
debate.
try.
It's
The
like
problem
let's
with
not
me is
talk.
I have
Let's
to
not
win.
argue because if you want to
You see,
argue,
and then when you have to
then
win,
we're going to do this the
if
right
that's in
way,
your
and we
head,
will bring out
then
all
somebody
the
loses.
guns. You know, this is.
And
But
so
that's what
I have to
that's
decide:
what,
is this my
I
battle?
miss that
Is
so
this
much.
Is this
That
worth
was
falling
so
on my
much
sword?
fun.
You know,
Really, is
debate
this
was
worth
Yeah.
fun because I was like, I go into
was
win mode.
fun.
Yeah,
And
I don't
you
know.
know,
I don't know if
and
I
that's
don't,
where I go. It's not.
I don't
It's
think
not
that
about
would be
right or
for
wrong
me.
anymore. It's,
I will
win.
It would be a whole different mode,
And
especially now that
that's
I've been doing
different.
this job
And
for
so
3
that's
years.
what's hard. It's hard to divorce myself from that
'Cause
history.
I am-
You did okay though.
So
That's
when
why
I
I
saw
don't
you on the
even
stage,
try.
you did okay.
It's like let's
Well,
not
campaigning is
talk.
one thing,
Let's not argue.
but on
because
a
if you wanna
normal
argue,
day-to-day basis,
then we're going to do this
and
the right way, and we will
doing
bring
the
out
job,
all the guns. You know,
the last thing you
but
want to
that's
do
what-
is
that's
debate.
what
right? Because
I miss
Because
that so much.
that
The
debate's
person-
over
at
at this point because you're already the mayor.
Fun.
Yeah, that
It was
like,
debate's over. But I'm saying
was
you
fun.
Yeah, I
stuck to
don't
the
know.
subject.
I
That's
don't know
how
if-
you
I
did.
don't-
You stuck to the
I
subject.
don't think that
you
would be
stayed
for me.
true to
Oh,
yourself.
It would be a whole different
Because a
mode,
lot of
especially
times with
now that
debate,
I've been
what they'll
doing
do
this
is
job for
they'll try
3
to
years.
lead you in this
Um,
direction, and you were planning on
'cause
going
I
in
am-
that
did okay
direction.
though. When I
Well,
saw you on the stage, you
good
did
debate.
okay.
Well,
If they try to take
campaigning
you
is
over
one
there, you
thing,
got to veer
but
them
on a
back
on
where
a
you need
normal
them to be, so
day-to-day
that then you slay.
basis,
You see,
and
that's
doing the job, and
That's-
now
my job is
the
to
last
listen.
thing you want to do is
Yes.
is
Because when
debate.
they're coming to
Right,
me, they've
'cause
got
Because they've got
a
debate's
with a
over at
suggestion.
this point because you're already the mayor.
Yeah,
And
that,
The debate's over.
so
But I'm saying you
I have
stuck
to
to the
be,
subject. That's how you did.
you know,
You stuck
more
to the
of a
subject. You
problem
stayed
solver.
true.
We're trying
to
to incorporate
yourself.
their suggestion.
Because a
into
lot of times with
you
debate,
know,
what they'll do is
the
they'll try
overall
to
big picture of the
lead you in this
city.
direction.
And so-
and you were planning on going in that direction. That,
Oh,
but
yes, definitely.
in a good debate,
Yes.
if they try to take you
I know
over there,
my
you got to
Uncle Larry
veer
was
them
a
back where
Marine.
you need them to
He
be.
was
So
very
then-
proud
then
of
you
that. He
slay.
still wears those
You see,
boots.
that's
And
That's
that,
I
and
don't
and now my
debate
job is to
because-
listen. You know,
yes.
There's
Because
no,
when they're
there's
coming
no
to me,
win or
they've got,
lose
you
in
know,
this
they've got a
situation.
problem or a
they have a
suggestion.
thing that's personal. and they're coming to
And
look for.
So
Well, debate is just
I
for
have to
campaigning,
be
really. Once you win the
more of
campaign,
a
the debate is
problem
over.
solver or try and
You know,
incorporate their
it really
suggestion
is.
into the the
I
overall
love
big picture
to
of the
watch the
city.
debates on TV
And
because
so-
I like to see
Marine
where they're
training
going,
help
and I
you
know
in
where
that?
Oh, yes,
sometimes when they
definitely.
do a good job,
Yes.
I'm like, yeah,
Um,
I know where
I
they're
know
going.
my
I can
Uncle
see
Larry
the
was a
design of the
Marine.
debate.
He was
So-
very proud
It's
of
so
that. He
fun.
still
I mean,
wears
it's
those
like a
boots.
Did you watch the debate last night? I don't
I
debate
did.
because
I watched a little bit of it.
there's no
They're not
win or
very
lose
entertaining.
in this situation. They have a thing
They don't
that's
talk about
personal,
anything
and
of substantial.
they're coming to look
They
for.
didn't refer
Well,
to
debate is
the
just for
writing
campaigning,
enough
really.
of the damage that's being
Once
done.
you win the
They-
campaign,
they
the debate is
ignored
over.
the obvious, and
It
to
really
me,
is.
that they
Yeah.
all lost.
But I
Not
love
because I
to
disagree
watch
with them,
debates on
but
TV
because
I like to see
the
where they're
elephant was in
going,
the
and I know where,
room, and they were all
sometimes when
dancing
they do a
around
good
it.
job, and I'm like,
Mm.
yeah,
I know where
and
they're going. I can
see
see
the
the design
all day
of the
long, though,
debate.
on TV. If I
It's
turn
so
to
fun.
CNN,
I mean, it's like
ABC,
Did you watch the
they do that all
debate
day
last
long.
night?
And they never talk
did.
about the important
I
things
watched
that
a little
happen.
bit
They
of
talk
it.
about what they want you to
They're
hear.
not very
I worked in the
entertaining.
news industry.
That's
Well, and
exactly.
I get.
They don't.
And I
talk
guess
about
last
anything
night
of
really wasn't.
substantial.
It wasn't really a debate because it wasn't any.
the
It's just one
writing
candidate,
enough
one.
of the damage that's
So I guess
being
it was
done.
just more of them trying to
They
control the
ignored
narrative.
the
so-
obvious.
Yeah.
That's
And to me,
totally
that
what
they
did.
all lost.
That's exactly what they did.
And that's
Not
all they
because
know
I
how to
disagree
do.
with them.
They
but
don't really
because
have
the elephant was
an
in the
issue.
room, and
Like
they were all
they're
dancing
trying to
around
say, "Oh,
it.
we got to get the
Mm.
black vote." Like we're
And
just a mono.
they do that, all day long,
Like
though.
we just
on
all
TV.
think the
If I
same
turn
thing,
to CNN, ABC,
Really?
NBC, they do that all day
that's
long.
crazy.
And
So,
they never talk about the important
growing
things
up,
that
I
happen. They
knew
talk about what they
I
want
could
you to
see
hear.
that.
I worked in the
And
news
I know
industry.
I debated.
That's
Well,
exactly.
I remember with my
And I guess
friends.
last night really wasn't. It wasn't really a
fifth
debate
grade.
because there wasn't any. It's just one
That's
candidate.
when I
one-
decided to get into
So I guess
that,
it was just
because
more
I
of them trying to
remember I was
control the
always arguing
narrative.
at my
so-
friend's house with her parents
That's
about
totally what they
politics.
did. That's exactly
In
what
fifth
they
grade.
did. And that's all they know how to do.
Wow.
They don't really have an
But
issue.
They thought it was cute.
Like
they thought it was
trying
cute
to say,
back
"Oh, we
then.
got to get
But
the
I
black
held
vote."
my
Like we're
own.
just a mono thought.
But
you
the
know?
thing is,
like we just
you have to
all
stick
think
to
the
facts.
same
You have to
thing.
stay on subject, and you have
Really?
to.
That's crazy.
Be
So
mature.
I mean,
Growing
once you
up,
get to
I
the
knew.
name calling,
I
by
could
the
see
time
that.
they come around and say
And
you're
I
a
know
racist, they've already lost
debated
the
since school. I
argument.
remember with my friends.
That's the argument
Right.
that they're using now. Everybody's a racist.
Fifth
now.
grade.
Everybody's a racist.
That's when I
you know,
decided
poof,
to get
you're a
into
racist,
that,
you know?
because I remember I was always arguing at my
Yeah.
friend's house
That's
with her
their tag
parents
word, their
about
tagline,
politics.
and how to control the
In fifth
situation.
grade.
And that's how they control.
Wow.
That's how they control liberal white people.
But
you know,
they thought it was
make them
cute.
feel guilty.
They thought it was cute back then.
And
But
black
I
people
held
use it
my
too.
own.
I've seen it.
But the thing is,
and
you have to stick to
it's
facts.
just
You have to
so-
stay
it's
on
so
subject,
pathetic.
and you have to.
It's pathetic to see.
Be mature.
I think
once you
people
get to
should
the
be
name
proud of who
calling,
they are, no
by
matter
the time
what
they
their
come
color
around and say
is.
you're a racist,
Yeah.
they've already lost the
No doubt.
argument.
Really,
You know,
because
that's the argument that they're using now.
Being a Creole, I'm
Everybody's
a mixture of a
racist
whole
now.
bunch of stuff.
Everybody's a racist.
But my
I
mother
mean,
said,
you
"You
know,
be proud of
you're
every
racist,
drop of
you know?
blood in you."
Really.
Period.
Yeah.
That's their tag word, their tagline, and how
I
to
am.
control the situation.
Come to
And
find
that's how
out,
they
though,
control.
Ed,
That's how they
Thibodeau
control
blood
liberal
that I
white
thought
people.
was
You know,
French,
they make them feel
and I'm
Yes.
guilty.
When I go to Europe, I go
and
to
black
France
people
because that's
use
my
it
people,
too,
right?
I've seen it.
Turns out it's Irish.
Oh yeah.
It's just so it's so pathetic.
Wow.
It's
I mean,
pathetic
I'm like,
to see.
this much French.
I think people should be proud of who they are, no matter what their
when
color
I was in France,
is.
I played
Yeah.
volleyball with Prince
No doubt.
Albert. I was on the French
Really,
team
'cause
because,
I-
you know,
Being a Creole, I'm
French,
a mixture of
right?
a whole bunch of stuff.
go figure.
But my mother said,
Now
"You're
you're
proud of
from
every
Ireland."
drop of blood in
Right.
you."
Wow.
Period.
Huh.
Yeah.
Just
Interesting. Yeah.
and
I know. And, you know, it's funny.
Come
the
to
guy
find
who
out,
owns
though,
Bro,
Uh-huh.
the
Thibodeau
Cajun
blood
food
that I thought
truck
was
that I
Mhm.
French.
and I'm
Yes.
When I go to Europe, I go
But,
to France because that's my people,
he's-
right?
He's a
Turns
Broussard,
out it's Irish.
and I have
Oh, yeah?
Broussard too.
Yes.
And he has some
Wow.
Thibodeau in his family too.
I mean, I'm like,
and he
like,
said,
this
"Oh,
much
Thibodeau's
French.
a nice Irish family." I'm like,
Seriously.
"How did you know?" I had to
really,
get
when
like,
I was in France, I
DNA
played volleyball with
find
Prince
out
Albert.
about
I was on the
that.
French team
He
because,
knew.
you know,
I said, "Well, that explains
I'm
all the
French,
red
right?
hair in my mother's family." You
Go
know,
figure.
there's a lot
Now
of
you're
redheads in
just-
my
Ireland.
mom's family, black
Right.
redheaded
Wow.
people, and it's
Huh.
really odd.
Well, Are there
Interesting.
French Thibodeaus?
I know,
I mean,
and you know, it's funny.
No,
the guy,
not
not
that
that
I
I
know
know of.
Not with that spelling. I would have
Cajun
thought
food
French as
truck
well.
that I love.
Well,
It
it
was
is.
so good.
Well,
Well, I think somebody married somebody. He's a Broussard, and I have just stuck with Broussard too. And he has some Thibodeaux in his family too. A lot of my history is a nice Irish family. I'm like, how did you know? I had to get like everything in Louisiana. DNA. I love to find out about that. Everything he knew. Like for instance, I said, well, that explains all the red hair in my mother's family. Because there's a lot of redheads in my mom's family. Black redheaded people.
And it's
My
really
Uncle
odd.
Are there
I miss
French
you, Uncle Larry, if you're
Thibodeaux?
watching.
I mean,
But yeah,
No,
Larry.
not
No,
that I
not at
know
all.
of.
Not
My
with that
grandfather
spelling, I would have
married my
thought French
grandmother,
as
and
well.
then when he
Well,
divorced her, he married her
I
first
think
cousin.
somebody married somebody.
Yeah.
Probably.
And I was talking
way
about
back
that
when,
on
and they just
online
stuck with
before.
the Thibodeau.
And this lady said, "Oh,
You know,
and
because I mean,
she says,
a lot of
those
a
small
lot of my
town people." I
history
said,
is,
"Don't make fun
you know,
of us. We're
very
not the only
shady.
small town in the South.
Louisiana.
Everything
Very
in
small
Louisiana
town
is shady.
cool.
I love Louisiana though. But
And that,
everything,
yeah, that's,
like for
I
instance,
mean, it's not common,
my
but
uncle is also
Oh,
my
yeah,
cousin
that
on his
happens.
mother's side.
Louisiana, it was pretty
Oh,
common.
wow.
Everybody,
Every
totally
summer I would spend
Louisiana.
there. I spent
You know,
almost all
my
my
Uncle
summers
Larry,
there.
very
And every
Thibodeau.
summer I
I
would
miss you,
spend
Uncle
there,
Larry, if you're
I get a
watching.
crush on a
But yeah,
guy,
Larry-
and my cousin would say,
No, he's your
my-
second
my
cousin. Twice
grandfather
removed.
married my
No, you
grandmother,
can't date
and then
him.
when he
He's your
divorced
sister.
her,
He married her
everybody
first
was my
cousin.
cousin. There was nobody
Oh.
to date.
And I was talking about that on,
And then I
on
finally
online
found
before.
a boyfriend,
And this
right?
lady said, "Oh,"
And
she says,
married
"Oh,
those small town people." I said, "Don't make fun of us. We're not the only
Anyway,
small town in the South." And my
it's
cousin Lee, who's
very
a
small
deputy
gene
down there,
pool.
he said, "Well, you know, he goes,
And that, yeah,
I arrested
that's-
your boyfriend.
I mean, it's not
and here
common,
I've been
but-
married all these years."
Oh yeah,
That
in
happens.
Louisiana it was pretty common.
10,
15 years
every
ago.
summer I was
Yeah, I
spending
arrested
there. I
your
spent
boyfriend.
almost
Whew.
all my
I
summers
couldn't
there.
remember.
And every summer I was spending there, he was riding his motorcycle to somebody's cornfield.
No, he's your
And
second
was
cousin
destroying
twice
people's
removed.
property, and he
No, you
arrested
can't date him.
I said, "Oh
He's
my
your son."
gosh!"
She goes, "He ain't
Everybody
no
was my
altar boy
cousin.
no
There was
more.
nobody to date.
Right.
And then I finally found a boyfriend,
Ain't no
right?
altar boy no more.
And Merrick Dejon, I remember him.
I miss him.
Well,
He
he
was
was
funny.
He was, anyways, one of those kind of shit. And my cousin Lee, who's a deputy down there, he said, "Well, you know," he goes, "I arrested
wow.
your boyfriend, and here I've
Can't
been
get away
married
with
all these
that
years."
anymore,
I
that's
said,
for
"What you
sure.
talking-"
This
he was
was
just, he was a
10,
good guy,
15
though. He
years
never
ago.
hurt anybody.
Yeah, I arrested your
He was just-
boyfriend.
he was
I couldn't remember.
one
He
of the
was
nicest
nicest
people.
people.
He was riding his motorcycle
first
to
day I
somebody's
got there in the
cornfield,
summertime, my mother
and
used
was
to put me on a
destroying
Greyhound
people's
bus
property,
and
and
he
he Lake
arrested
Charles
him.
to stay
I
with my
said, "Oh
cousins
my
for the
gosh," he goes,
summer,
"He
you know.
ain't no altar boy
And
no
as soon as
more."
he saw me, he was
Right.
"Give me some money." I'm like,
I just love my uncle. I love him.
"He ain't no altar
But he was
boy
just
no
always
more.
saying,
Give me some money." It was so good to
I
see.
miss him. Well, he was funny.
Spin me
He was
around. He had a big
one
old
of those
belly.
kind of shit.
He
He
used
used
to
to
me around.
He used to pull
Because
people
I was
over just
little
for
and
kicks.
skinny.
I mean,
You know,
he was. I just.
Oh, wow.
I was
love having.
Can't get away with that anymore, that's for sure.
I
Oh,
love
he was
that. I love our
he
whole
was a good
culture.
guy, though. He never hurt
We-
anybody.
in fact,
we had petitions going around.
one
to
of the
declare
nicest
Creole
people, our own
The
race.
first day I got
Because-
there in the summertime,
Yeah,
my
I
mother used to
signed
put me on
it.
a Greyhound bus to send me to Lake Charles.
Although I
to stay with
wasn't
my
even
cousins
eligible
for
to
the
sign it
summer,
because
you
I
know.
wasn't a citizen.
And as soon as he saw me, he would
I signed
give me
it.
some
I
money.
just
Just out of
I just
principle.
love my uncle.
Because we have
I
our
love
own
him.
food, our own culture,
But he was just
we have
always
our own
like, "Give me some
language.
money."
You
I'm like,
know,
"So
what
good
else
to
does
see
it
you."
take? Pick me up and spin
Yeah.
me around. He had a big old belly.
I don't know.
Spin me
We
around.
do things our
Because I
own
was
way.
little
We have our
and
own
skinny, you
sense
know.
of humor.
But
It's so funny because my
I
Cajun friends I
love
have here in
having
Texas,
family from Louisiana.
they have very similar
I love that.
backgrounds.
I love our whole
and they send me
culture.
some funny stuff.
In
Cajun
fact,
humor
we had,
is so
we had
funny.
petitions going around
It's
to
just-
declare the Creole.
I just
our
sit there with
own
like
race.
my sides hurt
Because
Oh, wow.
laugh and
Yeah,
laugh.
I signed it.
Nobody else gets it. We get
Although I
it because
wasn't
we
even
make fun of
eligible to sign it 'cause I
ourselves
wasn't a citizen
as well as
Louisiana.
other people. And people
I
don't
signed
get
it.
their feelings hurt so
Just out of
easy.
principle.
You know,
Because
like
we
if
have
you're
our own
skinny, we're gonna
food,
make
our
fun
own
about you
culture.
being
We have our
skinny.
own language.
You know,
You
we're gonna
know,
make,
what else
in
does it
Mexico, they
take?
do the same thing.
Yeah.
In Mexico, if you look,
Yeah. I don't
if you
know.
look a little
We
bit,
do things
they
our
call
own
you
way.
Chino.
We have our own
You know?
sense of humor.
Oh, wow.
It's so funny because
They make,
my
you know,
Cajun friends I have
friends
here in
named
Texas,
Flaca, which is
they have
skinny,
very
you know.
similar backgrounds.
And
they
they
send me
name
some
you
funny
what
stuff.
you know,
Cajun
look like.
humor is so
And
funny.
it's just a sense of
It's just-
humor that you
I
have
just
to
sit
be able
there
to
with,
make
like,
fun
my
of
sides
yourself, or
hurting,
else you're gonna
just
take
laugh
everybody
and
just
laugh.
too seriously.
Nobody else
gets it. We
And
get it
I
because
think
we make fun of
the world
ourselves,
is lacking
as
that
well as
now,
other
and I
people.
think people
And
need to
people
start
don't get
laughing
their
a little
feelings
bit
hurt so
more.
easy. I mean, look at
You know,
Blazing
like, if you're
Saddles.
skinny,
You think
we're gonna
that
make
would
fun
go
about
over
you
well
being
today?
skinny.
Oh, God, no.
You know,
I'm
we're
surprised
gonna
that's
make,
even
in Mexico
allowed to
they
be
do the
aired
same
anymore.
thing. In
I
Mexico,
loved
if
it
you
though.
if you
Yeah.
look a little bit,
I laughed.
they call you.
I thought
Chino.
it was funny.
You know,
Oh, wow.
Archie Bunker.
I thought he was funny.
Friends named
Flat
Flat
Sanford.
Sanford.
I thought he was hilarious.
They
But
name
they
you
make fun
what
of
you look like.
those things that
And
people
it's
take
just a
so
sense of
seriously
humor
right now that
that
they
you
have
have
to
to
tear down statues
of yourself, or else you're going to take everybody just too seriously.
It's just not. It's just not
I
worth
think
it. It's just not
the
worth
world is
destroying our
lacking
country
that
over.
now, and I think people need to
learn
start
to laugh
laughing a little bit more.
over.
I mean, look at
painful
Blazing
things.
Saddles. Do you think that would
Oh,
go
yeah.
over well today?
Oh God,
You
no.
can laugh.
I'm surprised that's even
how
allowed
you
to be
get
aired
through it.
anymore.
You go
I
to a
loved it,
real
though.
funeral,
Yeah.
You're going to see a
laughed.
bunch of people
I thought it was
laughing and
funny.
laughing. They
And
might take a break and
Archie
cry a little
Bunker,
bit.
I thought
then
he
they
was
go back
funny.
to the laughing.
Fred Sanford, I thought he was
And that's how we do
hilarious.
things.
Dancing.
But they made fun of
those things that people take so seriously right now.
And my husband, tear down statues because he made me laugh so hard. I mean, Gary, he still makes me laugh. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. When I met him, my first husband had died. We learned to laugh, and I was still in mourning, and I didn't really want to date at the time.
Oh yeah.
And
you can laugh.
I didn't even want to.
How you go out with them. You go to a Creole.
I talked to my priest about it.
You gonna see a bunch of people laughing. He goes,
"Oh,
might take a break and cry a little bit." Then they go back to the laugh.
I want you to go out and have some fun.
And that's how we do
things.
Dancing.
Go have some fun. Like, okay, I'll go out with
you got to. And then that's how you
survive
survive
things. And my husband, that's why I married him.
32 years later.
So hard. I mean,
wow.
Gary,
he still makes me laugh so hard.
That was when I met him. My first husband had died.
But like what
really made us, I was still in mourning, and I didn't really want to laugh. During trying times,
I didn't even want to go
out with
him.
And then
actually, it's kind of like a pain reliever.
I forget what the
endorphins.
Yes,
doesn't want you to open
It's the
around.
endorphins that
want you to go out and
when
have
you
some
laugh,
fun.
it kind of takes
And
away all of that.
Right.
Go have some
It's a
fun.
natural
Okay, I'll
pain
go out with this guy 'cause he was
anesthesia.
And then
Yes, I think so.
we went out.
You can't
We got
laugh
32 years
and
later.
feel pain at the same time.
Wow.
Like when you go to the dentist.
Sometimes
yeah.
the best thing that ever happened to me was
That
this
was
new dentist that I've got now.
And
But like,
I always
what-
had
what really
problems
made
that
us
had
terrified of the
together
dentist, right? And
was
so
we
I
were
go to
able
the
to
dentist,
laugh.
and she said, "Oh,
During
I want you to just
trying
lift
times.
your right leg up
And,
4 inches."
Actually, it's
Okay.
kind of like a
And
pain
that's when she gave me the
reliever.
shot.
I'm
I
like,
forget what
Oh, yeah.
endorphins. What's the
Yes,
because
endorphins.
I was so
It's the endorphins
concentrated
that-
on my
Right.
when
When
you
you
laugh,
laugh, it kind of takes away all of that.
changed
Right.
my whole life. I
It's a
could have had
natural pain
that advice. It would have changed
anesthesia.
everything. I probably had better
Yes,
teeth
I think
even.
so.
You
You can't laugh and feel
you,
pain
you
at the
laugh.
same
It's
time.
kind of like
when you
lifting
go to
your
the
leg in
dentist.
that
Sometimes
chair.
the
It's
best
kind of
thing
like that ever happened to me is
you don't
this
have
new
to
dentist
feel
that
all
I've got
that
now.
pain. You could
And
just
because I
do
always
something
had
else.
problems that I'm
Like I said,
terrified of the
we are
dentist, right? And
we're
so I go
all
to the
all
dentist.
that
And
energy
she
for
said, "Oh,
evil
I
going
want you
on
to
in
just
Seattle
lift
and
your-
Portland.
Your right
We could
leg
turn
up
that to
4
we should put
inches
them down in
Okay.
California.
And that's when
you
she
guys
gave me
have
the
to work
shot.
this off.
I'm like,
All the stuff you
"Oh."
damaged.
I hadn't
You have to work this off, and you're
going
going to
concentrate on my
and
lifting
oranges
my
and
leg.
stuff. Apparently, you have a lot of
changed
energy.
my whole life. I
and
could have
time on your
had
hands.
that
So-
advice. It would have changed everything. I probably
That's
had
what
better
you do.
teeth.
When
even.
that's how we do things in this. Well, in
you
Louisiana,
laugh.
anyway,
It's kind of like
when
lifting your
they
leg.
found
in
out that I was
that
afraid
chair.
of
It's
birds.
kind of like,
Yeah.
Oh,
you
you're
don't
afraid
have
of
to feel
birds.
all that pain.
So your job this summer is going to be to
something
feed the
else,
chickens.
Like I said,
Yeah.
We are
get over that fear of birds.
energy for evil going on in Seattle
That's
and
how
Portland.
you deal with
We could
stuff,
turn that
you know?
to good. We should
So
put
they got all that
down
kind
in
of energy.
California.
They better
you guys gonna have to work this off. All the
kind of
stuff you
government
damaged.
assistance in
You
anything.
have to work this off, and you're going to
apparently
apparently
they're
have
avocados
avocados and
and
oranges and stuff.
Because they want to be
You know,
independent. So
apparently you have a lot
They
of
can be
energy and time
independent,
on
but
your
be
hands.
independent, but you're gonna have
So-
to earn your keep.
That's
You
what
know,
you do. When you that's
you
how
don't
that's
work,
how
you
we
don't
do
eat.
things in this. Well, in Louisiana,
I mean, as a
anyway,
housewife,
like
they
found
found
out
out
that I was
clean.
afraid
I
of
kept
birds.
my kids fed.
I
you're
did
afraid of
above
birds.
and beyond.
So your job this summer is
so
going
for
to be to
me,
feed the chickens.
I remember
Yeah.
that
there was
get
some,
over that fear of
people
birds.
like, oh, you didn't work. I'm
So
like, I want
that's
that
how
off.
you
have
deal
no
with
idea,
stuff.
you know.
So
They
they
got
got
no
no
idea.
energy. And my
They
husband
better
doesn't
not
have to
ever
do
ask for
anything.
any kind of
Now he
government
helps 'cause he's
assistance.
retired, but he didn't
Anything.
have to do a thing at
Because
home.
apparently
Yeah,
they're
right.
healthy as can be.
So
they want to be
that was
independent.
how it was,
so-
but that was
They
what
can
I
be
wanted, and
independent,
that's
but
what he
be
wanted.
independent, but you're gonna have to
And,
earn your
you know,
keep.
people have to decide when they
You
get
know,
married what you
We're
don't
gonna
work, you don't
talk
eat.
about this, you know. What
I
do
mean,
we
as a
want out of
housewife,
life?
I
Do you
kept my
wanna
house
work for
clean.
the
I
rest of
kept
your
my
life?
kids
I mean, are you
fed.
going to
I
resent
made,
him
I
if you
did
have to
above and
work?
beyond.
You know, that whole thing.
And
There's
so
a
for
lot of
me,
things that women
I remember
don't
that
bring up that
there
they
was
need
some
to talk about.
people that go, oh,
And
you
like I said, you
I'm
have
like,
to understand. My if
butt
we're
off.
gonna
You
have
no
children, I
idea.
have a family.
You have
that
no
You
idea.
have to understand. They're going to
And
be
my husband
Catholic.
doesn't have to do
And
anything.
if that's not okay
Now
with
he
you,
helps
you guys
because
tell
he's
me that
retired,
now.
but he didn't have to do
You
a
know?
thing at home.
And he
You
said,
know?
that's fine because he
So-
wasn't going to church.
That was how it
Gary's
was,
like,
but that was
okay,
what I
whatever.
wanted, and that's what he wanted. But you
And,
know what?
people
Gary's
have to
now
decide
in the
when they
Knights
get
of
married
Columbus, and he
Are
does
we
a
gonna
lot of
talk
good
about
work
this, you
for a
know?
lot of people.
What do we want out of life? Do
Fantastic.
you want to work
Yeah,
for the rest of your
they're a
life? I
great
mean, are you going to
group, the
resent
Knights
him
of
if you
Columbus.
have
They
to
help-
work?
Their whole
You know,
mission
that
is
whole
the
thing.
widows
There's a
and the
lot of
orphans.
things
Like
that
in the
women
Bible, it says you have
don't
to take care of the
bring
widows
up
and the
that they
orphans.
need
So
to talk about.
first thing that they
And
do
like I said,
when
you
they
have
join
to
the Knights is
understand,
that you have to
we're
like,
going to
make
have
sure you
children. I
have
want a
insurance
family
for your wife.
You have to
So in
understand
case
they're
you
going to be
die,
Catholic. you know,
And if that's
that
not
she's
okay
not
with
a
you, you
burden
gotta
on
tell me that
anyone,
now.
and that
You know,
it's just they're really good.
and he said,
It's
that's
just
fine,
really
because he
good.
wasn't going
And
to
the
church.
Lions Club, his father
Years,
was
like,
a Lions,
okay,
in the Lions
whatever.
Club for years.
And my
But you know
mother-in-law, she
what?
was a Lioness.
Gary's
She was
now in the
oldest
Knights of
member the
Columbus,
Lions Club,
and he
in
does
El
a lot
Cajon,
of
California.
good work for a lot of people.
And
Oh,
She was very,
Fantastic.
very active
they're a
in the
great
Lions,
group, the Knights of
amongst the
Columbus. They
Lions,
help.
and
Their
his
whole
dad
mission
was,
is the widows and the
he
orphans, like
owned
in the
a
Bible.
car
It says you
dealership,
have
so
to
he was
take
like
care of
the
the
marshal
widows
of
and the
the orphans.
parade and all that.
First
kind
thing
of
that they
stuff.
do when they
The
join the
alcohol,
Knights
and
is
he
that
was,
you have to make sure you
character.
have insurance
So
for
that's
your
where Gary
wife.
gets it from.
I'm a
So in
member of
case
the
you
Lions
die,
Club here, but
you know that she's
right,
not
I'm
a
just
burden
not.
on
I'm not
anyone,
real
and that
active because I
it's
just
just
got
they're
too
really
many
good. They're
irons
just
in the
really
fire.
good group. And the
the way it
Lions
is
Club,
now,
his
you
father
know.
was
You're
in
the
the
mayor.
Lions Club for years. And my
You do
mother-in-law,
have
she
a
was a
lot on your
Lioness. She was
hands,
the oldest
and you're a
member of the
fireman.
Lions
I
Club
think
in
that's
El
And
Cajon,
I'm still
California.
working full time. So
And
wow.
so
He
as a
was very, very
active.
gosh,
And the
Wendy's husband,
Lioness,
he's a
amongst the
firefighter.
Lioness, and his dad was
Ronnie, do
he
you know
owned
Ronnie?
a car dealership.
He's a
So he was like the
firefighter.
marshal of the parade.
I think
and all
he's
that
like
kind of
captain
stuff
or something.
in El
What's his
Cajon.
last
He
name?
was character.
I think it's
So that's where
Well,
Gary
you know,
gets
Wendy.
it
I
from.
I'm
sit
a
next
member
to
of the
her at
Lions
church. I
Club
just
here,
don't know
but
her last name. She's
I'm
really
just
sweet.
not.
They
I'm
have two
not
little
real
boys. They have two
active
grown
'cause I
kids
just
too.
got too many
Yeah.
irons in the Maybe fire. I don't know.
The way it is
I
now.
know everybody
You're
by
the
their
mayor.
last names in the fire department. I'm just
I know
like
everybody
being
the
You
in-
do
first
have a
name
lot
at
on
church.
your
I don't know
hands,
the
and
last
you're a
name.
fireman.
Half of
I'm
the-
like being in the military.
Yeah, I'm
Everybody
still
goes by
working
their last
full-time,
name.
so.
So
Well,
So as a
in the
fireman,
Catholic Church, you don't know, you can't pronounce half of the last
He's
names.
a firefighter.
They come from, they're
like
Ronnie.
German.
Do
And
you know
yeah,
Ronnie? He's a
I found
firefighter.
when I worked as
I think he's like
substitute
captain or
secretary at
something.
my last
what's
church.
his last name?
I found out. I said most of the people at our church
I think it's
are
Polish.
last names.
Wendy, I sit
ends with
next
a
to her at
vowel.
church. I just don't know her last name. She's really
That's
sweet.
what I
They
noticed.
have two
It's
little boys. They have
interesting,
two
'cause you're
grown
just
kids
sitting there waiting
too.
for the phone to ring.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Maybe I don't
Everybody's
know.
last name ends with a
I
Y
know
or
everybody by their
O
last names in the fire department.
Or
I
A.
know
And
everybody
it-
the first names at church. I don't know the last
Yeah,
name.
that's
Half of
interesting.
the
I like being
yeah,
in the
but I'll
military.
find out.
Everybody goes by
I
their
think it's
last
a Polish
names. You
last
know.
name though.
Well,
In
he's a
the
really
Catholic
nice
Church, you
guy.
don't know, you can't
Possibly.
pronounce half of the last
And
names.
it would also depend
They
on which
come from-
department he
they're like
works for. If we don't work for
German
the same
and,
department, then I may not.
I
know.
found
How
that when
many
I worked
departments
as
do they have?
a substitute
Well,
secretary
you know, like
at
we
my
have
last
our
church.
ESD1
I found out.
out
I said
here.
most of the people at our church,
You know,
our
North Lake
last
Travis
names
Fire and Rescue.
ends with a vowel.
But I work for the city of Austin Fire Department.
That's what I
so,
noticed. It's
Okay.
interesting
You
because
know,
you should
I don't really know most of the guys that are
interesting.
firefighters out here.
You're a first
responder.
Oh yeah,
Or
definitely.
A, which is
Yeah, we pray for you
Yeah,
every Sunday.
yeah, that's interesting. Because
Yeah,
I
but
do
I'll
the
find out.
lecturing and
I think
we
it's a
pray for our
Polish
first
last name, though.
responders, our
He's a
firefighters,
really
police
nice guy.
officers, and we
Possibly.
pray for you every
And
Sunday.
it would also depend on which
because
department
you need
he
our
works for.
prayers.
If we don't work for
You
the same
run in when
department,
everybody
then
else is
I
running
may
out.
not know.
How many departments
That
do
we
they
do.
have?
Well, you know,
I'd
we
be
have
kinda
our
scared
ESD1
myself.
out here.
I'm not an adventurous
Nor-
person
you know,
at
North
all.
Lake
The
Travis
most adventure
Fire
I
and
have
Rescue.
is on the golf
Mhm.
course.
But I work
That's
for the
it.
city of Austin.
Well, it's like
Fire
anything
Department.
else. You got to
So,
train for it.
Okay.
You don't do it blindly.
I don't really
you
know most
Well,
of the
you
guys
know what
that
you're
are
doing.
firefighters
But
out
you know
here.
what?
You're a
how
first
many-
responder. I almost started a fire
Oh yeah, definitely.
here. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
we pray for you
I left
every
a candle
Sunday.
next to a
'Cause
decoration.
I do the lecturing, and we pray for
that
our
I made
first
for
responders,
Christmas,
our
and
firefighters,
we
police officers.
went next
and
door
we pray
to
for you
eat
every
Christmas dinner
Sunday
and came back.
because you need
Everything
our
was
prayers.
black. You, could
You
see
run in when everybody else
cobwebs.
is running
It had
out.
put itself out.
That
thank
we do.
God.
That's good.
Yeah,
I'd
I'd
be
be
kinda
I mean,
scared
I could've
myself.
lost my house. I don't think I'm
I'm
gonna
not
lose my
an
house because
adventurous person at
left
all.
my
The
house.
most
But
adventure I have
God,
is on the
that-
golf course.
that was
That's
almost
it.
a fire. I mean,
Well,
I
it's
had
like
a
anything
fire.
else. You
My
gotta
mom
train
had a
for
fire
it.
in our house.
You
in
don't do it
Houston.
blindly,
We had to
you
move
know.
out.
Well,
to
you
a
know what
not a
you're
hotel,
doing,
an
but
apartment.
you know
until
what?
they
I
fixed
how
up
many?
our house.
I almost started
And
a
that was a
fire
grease fire because she
here.
actually thought
Oh
she
my
turned her
gosh! I left
the
a candle
pilot
next to a
off,
decoration,
the electric stove, and she wasn't used to the
that
electric
I
stove,
made
and
for
she actually put it
Christmas.
on high.
Yeah.
And when we went next door
And
to
that was
eat
why that
Christmas dinner and
started.
came back,
But I have
everything was black.
extinguisher under my
cobwebs.
sink
It
because
had
I've
put
come
itself
so
out
close so
thank
many
Oh,
God.
that's
times
good.
that
Yeah,
I'm scared
but, I
that
mean, I could have lost my house, but I don't think that could have happened. I melted two microwaves.
Left my house, but
You know,
God, that was
I mean,
almost
they look
a
like
fire.
a
I mean, I had a fire.
Salvador
My mom
Dali
had a fire in our house in
Oh,
Houston,
wow.
and we had to move out.
I'm
to
sure
a
you've
not a
seen
hotel, an
that.
apartment
plenty
until
of
they
times.
fixed up our house.
Doesn't that look
And
so
that was
weird?
a grease
Yeah,
fire.
I was
'cause
making
she
candles.
actually thought she turned
I'm not allowed to make candles
the pilot
anymore.
off.
My kids
Off.
forbade
Electric
it. They
stove,
said,
and she
no,
wasn't
Mom,
used to the
no
electric
more
stove, and she actually
candles.
put it on
'Cause
high.
Ooh.
I just wasn't.
I
and
cannot
That was why that
do
started.
5
I
things at
have a
once.
extinguisher
Right. Oh,
under
yeah.
I'm
my
not a good
sink because
multitasker. I
I've
do
come
one
so close
thing
so many
and I'll do it
times
well, but if I
that
have to do
I'm
two
scared
things,
that
something's gonna,
that could happen. I
fall.
melted 2 microwaves,
and so I no longer
know.
make candles, although I miss it.
I mean,
but
they
I'm
look
just
like
Yeah.
too scared of
Salvador
myself.
Dali
And
painting.
Oh, wow.
The near
I'm
fire,
sure you've
and
seen
then we
that.
had that.
Oh,
Being a
plenty of
firefighter,
times.
you'd appreciate that.
Doesn't that look
we had
so
the big
weird?
fire, the Cleveland
I was
National
making
Forest
candles
Fire in
in
California.
I'm not allowed to
Uh-huh.
make candles
And it
anymore. My
came
kids
20
forbade it. They
feet
said, "No,
behind
Mom, no more
our
candles."
property
'Cause
line.
I just
Wow.
wasn't.
I
real
cannot
close. My friend Pat Byrne was a
do
firefighter then. And he
5
was saying,
things at
"Kathy,
once.
don't worry, your house is fine." I
Right.
went and
Oh,
checked, and
yeah.
I'm not a
Your
good
house is,
multitasker.
we were
I did one
evacuated, you know,
thing,
because it
I
was
hope y'all were
well,
but if I had to
evacuated.
do
yeah,
two
we were
things,
all
something's gonna
evacuated. And when
fall.
we came back though, that
20
and
feet,
so
and
I
the
no
fact
longer
that
made
it
candles,
didn't-
although I miss it.
Well, we
I'm
have a
just
pool.
too
We had
scared
a
of
pool back there,
myself, and
but I have a palapa, which is
the
made of
near
dead grass.
fire.
And then we had that would have
Being a
gone like
firefighter, you'd
that.
appreciate
If
this.
just a
We
spark
had the big
and
fire,
for
the
it to
Cleveland
not have
National
touched
Forest
that
Fire
palapa
in
was
California.
amazing to me.
Uh-huh. That's lucky.
And it
All
came
those flying
20
embers
feet
and-
behind
our property line.
Terrible. They always have fires
Wow.
though in
Came
California.
real close. My friend Pat Byrne was a firefighter then, and he was saying, "Kathy, don't worry, your house
do you
is
think
fine."
that somebody's doing that on purpose?
Your house
I always
is, we were
wondered about
evacuated, you know.
I was
'cause
like, I
No,
hope
I
y'all
don't
were
think
evacuated. I mean, every
Yeah,
now and
we
then
were
you'll
all
see one that's
evacuated.
intentional, but usually
and
not.
and when we came back,
They
though,
said the ones in
20 feet,
Australia
and the fact that it
were
didn't
really
that
well.
there
We
were
have a
people who
pool.
were
We had a
actually
pool
out
back
there
there
doing
but
that
I
on
have
purpose.
a palapa,
Wow.
which is made of dead
Yeah,
grass.
That's really
that's
bad.
That
'cause
would have
they
gone
did
like
a lot
that
of
if
damage.
just a spark
Yeah.
and for it to not
Who
have
does
touched that palapa was amazing.
People were way too
to
much
me.
time on
That's
the hands. We
lucky.
should have them
All
picking
those
fruit too.
flying embers. And,
It was terrible. It was a
Way too
terrible.
much
They always
time
have
on their
fires though in
hands.
California.
well, speaking of time, I think it's about
you-
that time for
I mean,
me.
Do you
Okay,
think
well,
that
I'm gonna
somebody's
sit
doing
here
that on
and
purpose?
I'll
I
probably
always
post
wondered
it
about that.
tomorrow.
No,
Okay.
okay. I mean,
And
every
then
now and then you'll
what
see
I try
one
to
that's
do is I just
intentional,
edit
but
out
usually
like
not.
all the silent
They said the
moments
ones
and
in
stuff.
Australia
If I can do that,
were really
last time my
there
last
were
show,
people who were
my
actually out
program
there
wouldn't allow me to
doing
do
that
it,
on
and it kept
purpose.
saying
Wow.
connect to internet,
Yeah,
and I'm like, I
That's
am
really
connected to the
bad,
internet.
'cause
It
they
kept saying
did
that
a
I
lot of
wasn't. It wouldn't
damage.
allow me to do
That-
stuff.
yeah.
So this time I
Who
hope
does that?
I'm not going to have a problem
People
with it.
with way
but
too
I
much
think I'll
time
be
on
okay.
their hands. We should have them picking
Well,
fruit
good.
too.
Appreciate your time though.
Oh, yeah, it was
Thanks for
wonderful.
coming on. I hope you
Enjoyed
come
it.
Way too much
again.
time on their hands.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of time, I think it's
Good
about
job,
that
Mayor.
time for
I
me.
really appreciate what
Okay,
you're
well,
doing
I'm
for
going to
Lago
sit here and
Vista.
edit.
Well,
I'll
thank
probably
you. I
post
sure
it
tried,
tomorrow.
so.
Okay.
God bless you.
And
All right.
then
God
what
bless
I
you
try to
too.
do is I
Thank
just
you.
edit out like all the
Bye-bye.
silent
Bye-bye.
moments and stuff. If I can do that. Last time, my last show, my program wouldn't allow me to do it, and it kept saying connect to internet, and I'm like, I am connected to the internet, and it kept saying that I wasn't, and it wouldn't allow me to do stuff. So this time, I hope I'm not going to have a problem with it, but I think I'll be okay.
Right.
I
Well, good.
appreciate your time, though.
Oh, yeah, it was
Thank you for
wonderful.
coming on. I hope you come
Enjoyed
back again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime.
Good job, Mayor. I really appreciate what you're doing for Lago Vista.
Well, thank you. I sure try. So,
God bless you.
all right. God bless you too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, hello there. I'm Kathy, and welcome to kathysright.com. Please remember to subscribe today on Spreaker, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Spotify, Patreon, and more. Today's guest, Lago Vista, Texas Mayor Ed Tidwell. I'm always right.